The bathroom tiles felt cold against Tiana's bare feet as she stared at the pregnancy test in her trembling hands. Two pink lines stared back at her, clear as day, mocking her disbelief. This couldn't be happening. Not now. Not like this. She blinked hard, hoping the lines would disappear, but they remained stubbornly present. No, 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 she whispered, her voice echoing in the small apartment bathroom. She grabbed the box with shaking fingers, reading the instructions for the third time. 2 lines meant pregnant. 1 line meant not pregnant. The cruel simplicity of it made her stomach turn. 3 weeks ago she had been a completely different person. 3 weeks ago she had been Tiana Williams, a 26-year-old aspiring artist working part-time at a coffee shop in downtown Seattle, struggling to make ends meet but optimistic about her future. 3 weeks ago she had never imagined she would be standing in her tiny bathroom, staring at a positive pregnancy test from a man whose last name she barely remembered. The memory of that night came rushing back like a tidal wave. She had been at her friend Nicole's birthday party at an upscale hotel downtown. The champagne had been flowing, the music was loud, and for once in her life, Tiana had decided to let loose. She rarely went to such fancy events, but Nicole had insisted she needed to get out more, to meet new people, to stop hiding behind her easel and paintbrushes. And then she had met him. Jordan. That was his name. Jordan something. Mitchell. Morrison. Her mind was fuzzy about the details, but she remembered his face clearly. Tall, with sharp jawline and intense dark eyes that seemed to see right through her. He had been standing alone at the bar, looking as out of place as she felt. There had been something magnetic about his presence, something that drew her to him despite her usual shyness around strangers. The conversation had started innocently enough. He had complimented her dress, a simple black number that Nicole had lent her. She had thanked him, and somehow they had started talking about art, about dreams, about the weight of expectations. He had seemed genuinely interested in her work, asking thoughtful questions about her paintings and her hopes for the future. One thing had led to another. The champagne had made her bold, and his quiet intensity had made her feel special, chosen. When he had suggested they go somewhere quieter, she had said yes without hesitation. She had never done anything like that before, never been the type to have a one-night stand with a stranger, but something about him had made her throw caution to the wind. They had ended up in his hotel room. It had been passionate and intense, unlike anything she had ever experienced. He had been gentle but consuming, making her feel like she was the only woman in the world. For those few hours she had felt beautiful, desired, alive in a way she had never felt before. But morning had come too soon. She had woken up to find him already dressed, checking his phone with the detached efficiency of someone who had somewhere important to be. The magic of the night before had evaporated, leaving only awkwardness and regret. He had been polite but distant, clearly eager for her to leave. She had gathered her things quickly, mumbling something about needing to get home. They had exchanged numbers, but she had never expected him to call. Men like him didn't call girls like her. She had known that even as she typed her number into his expensive phone. He belonged to a different world, a world of luxury and privilege that she could only visit briefly like a tourist in a foreign country. And he hadn't called. Not once in 3 weeks. Now, staring at the pregnancy test, Tiana felt the familiar sting of tears in her eyes. She had been so careful all her life, so responsible. She had never been reckless with her heart or her body. One night of letting go, one night of being someone different, and now her entire life was about to change forever. She sank down onto the closed toilet seat, the test still clutched in her hands. What was she going to do? She couldn't raise a child on her own. She could barely afford her tiny studio apartment and her student loans. Her job at the coffee shop paid minimum wage, and her art sales were sporadic at best. She had no savings, no family money to fall back on, no safety net. And Jordan? What would she even say to him? Would he even remember her? She doubted it. He had probably forgotten about her the moment she walked out of his hotel room. Men like him probably had women in their beds every night. She had been nothing special, just another conquest in what was likely a long line of them. But she had to try. She had to at least tell him. He had a right to know, even if she expected nothing from him. Even if she was prepared for him to deny it, to accuse her of lying or trying to trap him. She had to be able to look herself in the mirror and know that she had done the right thing. The problem was she didn't even know his last name for certain. She had a vague memory of him mentioning something about business, about deals and meetings, but the details were hazy. She had been too caught up in the moment, too distracted by his presence, to pay attention to the specifics. Her phone buzzed on the bathroom counter, making her jump. It was a text from Nicole. Hey babe, how are you feeling? You looked a little green around the gills yesterday. Coming down with something? Tiana stared at the message, her heart racing. Nicole had noticed her nausea yesterday at work. She had blamed it on bad sushi, but now she knew the truth. Morning sickness. She was having morning sickness because she was pregnant with a stranger's baby. She typed back quickly, just tired. Long shifts at the coffee shop. Talk later? She couldn't tell Nicole yet. She couldn't tell anyone until she figured out what she was going to do. Until she found Jordan and had that impossible conversation. Standing up on unsteady legs, Tiana walked back to her bedroom and sat down at her small desk. She opened her laptop and stared at the Google search bar. Where did she even begin? She typed in Jordan Mitchell Seattle, and held her breath. The results made her gasp. The first link was to a Forbes article. Jordan Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Industries, announces major expansion plans. The accompanying photo showed the same man from that night, but in a sharp business suit instead of the casual button-down he had worn to the party. His expression was serious, professional, nothing like the man who had laughed at her jokes and listened to her dreams. Mitchell Industries. She clicked on the company website, her heart pounding. Jordan Mitchell, Chief Executive Officer. Age 32. The brief bio mentioned his Harvard MBA, his innovative approach to sustainable technology, his reputation as one of the youngest and most successful CEOs in the Pacific Northwest. A billionaire. She had slept with a billionaire. Tiana leaned back in her chair, overwhelmed. This was so much worse than she had imagined. She had thought maybe he was just well off, maybe a successful businessman or lawyer. But a billionaire CEO? This was like something out of a movie, except it was her life, her reality, her impossible situation. She scrolled through more articles, trying to learn everything she could about Jordan Mitchell. Most of the coverage was business-focused, discussing his company's innovations and market performance. But there were a few personal details scattered throughout. He was known for being private, rarely seen at social events. He had never been married, though he had been linked to a few high-profile women over the years. The articles described him as brilliant but cold, successful but isolated. One article from a business magazine mentioned his reputation for being difficult to work with, demanding perfection from his employees and maintaining strict boundaries in all his relationships. Another piece speculated about his personal life, wondering why such a successful and attractive man remained single. The more she read, the more intimidated she became. How could she, a struggling artist from a working-class family, possibly approach someone like him? How could she walk into his world and tell him that their one night together had created a life? But she had to. She had no choice. Tiana closed the laptop and walked to her easel, where her latest painting sat half-finished. It was a cityscape of Seattle, painted in blues and grays that captured the moody atmosphere of the Pacific Northwest. She had been working on it for weeks, trying to capture the feeling of loneliness in a crowded city, the sense of being surrounded by people but still utterly alone. Now the painting seemed prophetic. She was about to become a single mother, raising a child whose father lived in a completely different world from hers. She would be alone in the truest sense, responsible for another human being with no one to help her shoulder the burden. Unless Jordan surprised her. Unless he turned out to be different from what she expected. Unless he remembered their night together with the same intensity she did and was willing to be part of his child's life. But she couldn't count on that. She couldn't build her hopes on a fantasy. She had to be practical, had to prepare for the most likely outcome, that he would want nothing to do with her or the baby. Her phone rang, startling her from her thoughts. It was her mother. "Hi, Mom," she answered, trying to keep her voice steady. "Tiana, honey, how are you? I haven't heard from you in a few days." "I'm fine, just busy with work and painting." Good. Your father and I were talking about maybe driving up to Seattle next weekend to see you. It's been too long since we've had a proper visit." Tiana's heart clenched. Her parents were good people, hardworking and loving, but they had struggled their whole lives to make ends meet. They had sacrificed so much to help her pursue her dreams, working extra shifts and skipping vacations to pay for her art supplies and classes. How could she tell them that she was pregnant by a man she barely knew? "That sounds great, Mom. I'd love to see you both." "Wonderful. Oh, and Tiana? Your father wanted me to ask if you're eating enough. You sounded tired the last time we talked." If only she knew, Tiana thought. "I'm eating fine, Mom. Don't worry about me." After hanging up, Tiana sat in silence for a long moment. She thought about her parents, about how disappointed they would be when they found out. They had raised her to be responsible, to make good choices, to think about consequences. They had trusted her to make smart decisions about her life and her future. And she had let them down. But dwelling on regret wouldn't change anything. She needed to focus on what came next. She needed to find the courage to contact Jordan Mitchell and tell him about the pregnancy. She needed to figure out how to support herself and a baby. She needed to make a plan. Tomorrow, she decided. Tomorrow she would find a way to reach him. Tonight, she would allow herself to grieve for the life she had planned, the dreams that would now have to be put on hold, the freedom she was about to lose. She looked at the pregnancy test one more time, then carefully wrapped it in tissue paper and placed it in her desk drawer. Evidence of the night that had changed everything. Evidence of the child growing inside her, the unexpected consequence of one moment of reckless abandon. As she prepared for bed, Tiana caught sight of herself in the mirror. She looked pale and tired, her eyes red from crying. But there was something else there too, something she hadn't expected to see. Determination. She was scared, overwhelmed, and completely unprepared for what lay ahead. But she was also stronger than she had ever imagined. She would find a way to make this work. She would find Jordan Mitchell, tell him the truth, and then figure out how to build a life for herself and her child. The future was uncertain, but it was hers to shape. And for the first time since seeing those two pink lines, Tiana felt like maybe, just maybe, she could handle whatever came next. Tiana woke up the next morning with a determination that surprised her. The panic from the night before had settled into a resolute calm, like the quiet that comes after a storm. She made herself toast and tea, forcing herself to eat even though her stomach was still queasy. She needed to keep her strength up, not just for herself now but for the baby. The baby. The word still felt strange in her mind, surreal and overwhelming. But she was starting to accept the reality of it. She was going to be a mother, and that meant making difficult decisions and having difficult conversations. She called in sick to work, something she rarely did, but she needed the day to figure out her next steps. Her manager, Trevor, was understanding as always. Feel better, Tiana. Don't worry about the shift, we'll cover for you. With her day cleared, she sat back down at her laptop and began researching Jordan Mitchell in earnest. This time, she wasn't just looking for basic information. She needed to understand his world, his business, his habits. She needed to figure out how to approach him. Mitchell Industries was headquartered in a gleaming skyscraper in downtown Seattle. The company specialized in sustainable technology solutions, developing everything from solar panels to water purification systems. Jordan had taken over the company from his father 5 years ago and had expanded it exponentially. The business press praised him for his innovative approach and his commitment to environmental responsibility. But the personal details were sparse. He kept his private life extremely private, rarely giving interviews that touched on anything beyond business. The few photos she could find showed him at charity galas or business conferences, always impeccably dressed, always alone or with business associates. She found his company's website and clicked through to the executive team page. There was his professional headshot looking every bit the successful CEO. His contact information was listed as going through his executive assistant, someone named Patricia Chen. Tiana stared at the phone number for a long moment. Could she really just call and ask to speak to him? What would she say? Hi, I slept with your boss 3 weeks ago and now I'm pregnant with his child? The whole thing seemed impossible. Her phone buzzed with a text from Nicole. Want to grab lunch today? I'm off work early. Tiana hesitated, then typed back. Actually, can you come over? I need to talk to you about something. Oh, that sounds serious. Be there in 20. Nicole arrived with coffee and bagels, her usual cheerful energy filling Tiana's small apartment. She took one look at Tiana's face and her expression grew concerned. Okay, what's going on? You look like you haven't slept. Tiana gestured for her to sit down, then took a deep breath. I need to tell you something, and I need you to promise not to freak out. Now I'm definitely going to freak out. What is it? Remember your birthday party 3 weeks ago? The guy I left with. Nicole's eyes widened. Jordan? The mysterious hot guy who barely talked to anyone else all night? What about him? I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air between them. Nicole's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips, her mouth falling open. You're, what? Pregnant? With his baby. Nicole set down her coffee with shaking hands. Are you sure? Did you take a test? Tiana nodded, pulling the test from her desk drawer and showing it to her friend. Nicole stared at the 2 pink lines then looked back at Tiana. Oh my God, Tiana. Are you okay? How are you feeling? What are you going to do? I don't know, Tiana admitted. I'm scared, Nick. I barely know him. I don't even know if he'll remember me. Of course he'll remember you. You guys talked for hours before you left together. He was completely focused on you the whole night. But that doesn't mean anything. Men like him probably. Men like him? Nicole interrupted. What do you mean? Tiana pulled up Jordan's company website on her laptop and showed Nicole his bio. Her friend's eyes grew wider as she read. He's a billionaire CEO? Tiana, why didn't you tell me? I didn't know. I just thought he was some businessman. I had no idea he was this. Nicole scrolled through the website, taking in the scope of Mitchell Industries. This is insane. You slept with one of the most successful men in Seattle. And now I'm pregnant with his child, and I have no idea how to tell him. Nicole closed the laptop and turned to face her friend. Okay, first things first. How are you feeling about the pregnancy itself? Are you okay with being pregnant? Tiana considered the question. I'm scared, but I think I want this baby. I know it's not ideal timing and I know I'm not financially ready, but I can't imagine not having it. Then we'll figure out the rest. What do you want from Jordan? I don't know. I just think he has a right to know. I'm not expecting anything from him, but he should know he's going to be a father. Even if he doesn't want to be involved? Even then. I can't make that decision for him. Nicole nodded slowly. Okay. So how do we approach him? You can't just call his office and ask to speak to him. Why not? Because he's a billionaire CEO, Tiana. He probably has layers of security and assistants whose job it is to keep people away from him. You need a strategy. They spent the next hour brainstorming approaches. Nicole suggested everything from showing up at his office to trying to find him at another social event. But every idea seemed either too desperate or too unlikely to work. What about a letter? Nicole finally suggested. Something you could send to his office that would get his attention without seeming crazy. What would I say? Just remind him of the night you met. Reference something specific that would make him remember you. Then ask if you can meet to discuss something important. Tiana considered this. It seemed less invasive than trying to ambush him, but more direct than hoping to run into him accidentally. I could try that, she agreed. But what if he ignores it? Then we'll try something else. But at least you'll know you tried to handle it professionally. After Nicole left, Tiana sat down to write the letter. She went through dozens of drafts trying to find the right tone. Too casual and he might not take it seriously. Too formal and he might not remember her. Too desperate and she might scare him off. Finally, she settled on something simple. Dear Jordan, I hope this letter finds you well. We met at Nicole Peterson's birthday party 3 weeks ago at the Fairmont Hotel. We talked about art and dreams, and you told me about your vision for sustainable technology. I was wearing a black dress and you said I had beautiful eyes. I would very much like to meet with you to discuss something important. I know you're incredibly busy, but this is time-sensitive and personal. Could we possibly meet for coffee this week? I can be reached at the number below. Sincerely, Tiana Williams. She read it over several times, then printed it on her nicest stationery. It was simple, direct, and hopefully memorable enough to get his attention. The next morning, Tiana took the bus downtown to the Mitchell Industries building. It was even more impressive in person, all glass and steel reaching toward the sky. She felt small and insignificant as she walked through the marble lobby to the reception desk. I have a letter for Mr. Mitchell, she told the professionally dressed woman behind the desk. All correspondence for Mr. Mitchell goes through his executive assistant. I can direct you to Ms. Chen's office. Tiana took the elevator to the 20th floor, her hands sweating as she clutched the envelope. The executive floor was sleek and modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering stunning views of the city and Puget Sound. Ms. Chen's office was behind a glass wall, and Tiana could see her through the transparent barrier. She was an efficient-looking woman in her 40s, typing rapidly on her computer. When Tiana knocked, she looked up with a polite but slightly impatient expression. Can I help you? I have a letter for Mr. Mitchell. It's personal and time-sensitive. Ms. Chen held out her hand. I screen all of Mr. Mitchell's correspondence. You can leave it with me. Tiana hesitated. She had hoped to somehow get the letter directly to Jordan, but she realized that was unrealistic. She handed over the envelope. When will he see it? I can't guarantee that he will. Mr. Mitchell receives hundreds of letters every week. I prioritize based on relevance and urgency. This is urgent, Tiana said quietly. Something in her tone must have gotten through to Ms. Chen, because her expression softened slightly. I'll make sure it gets to him today. Thank you. As Tiana waited for the elevator, she caught a glimpse of a man in a suit walking past the glass walls of the executive offices. For a moment, her heart stopped, thinking it might be Jordan. But as he turned, she saw it was someone else entirely. The ride down to the lobby felt eternal. She had done it. She had taken the first step. Now all she could do was wait and hope that Jordan would remember her, that he would want to meet, that he would listen to what she had to say. That evening she sat by her phone, jumping every time it rang. But the calls were all telemarketers or friends. Nothing from Jordan. The next day was the same. And the day after that. By the end of the week, Tiana was starting to lose hope. Maybe he hadn't gotten the letter. Maybe he had gotten it and chosen to ignore it. Maybe he had no memory of their night together. She was walking home from her shift at the coffee shop on Friday evening when her phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but something made her answer. Hello. Is this Tiana Williams? The voice was crisp, professional, female. Yes, this is Tiana. This is Patricia Chin, Mr. Mitchell's assistant. He received your letter and would like to meet with you. Are you available tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Tiana's heart started racing. Yes, absolutely. Where should I meet him? His office. I'll add you to the building's security list. Ask for me when you arrive. Thank you. Thank you so much. After hanging up, Tiana sat on a bench outside her apartment building, trying to process what had just happened. He had agreed to meet her. He remembered her. Tomorrow she would see him again, and she would have to find the courage to tell him that their one night together had created a life. She thought about calling Nicole but decided to wait until after the meeting. She needed to focus, to prepare herself for what might be the most important conversation of her life. That night, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, running through possible scenarios in her mind. How would he react? Would he be angry? Skeptical? Would he want to be involved, or would he want nothing to do with her and the baby? She placed a hand on her still flat stomach, trying to imagine the tiny life growing inside her. Tomorrow she would fight for this child's right to know its father. Tomorrow she would find out what kind of man Jordan Mitchell really was. Tiana stood in front of her tiny closet, staring at her limited wardrobe options. What did one wear to tell a billionaire CEO that he was going to be a father? Nothing in her collection seemed appropriate for such a momentous occasion. She finally settled on a simple navy dress that Nicole had bought her for job interviews, paired with her only pair of heels. The morning dragged by with excruciating slowness. She tried to eat breakfast but could only manage a few bites of toast. Her stomach was churning with nerves and morning sickness, a combination that left her feeling weak and shaky. She spent an hour practicing what she would say in the mirror, but every version sounded wrong. By noon she couldn't stand waiting any longer. She took the bus downtown early, arriving at the Mitchell Industries building with 45 minutes to spare. She walked around the block several times, trying to calm her nerves and organize her thoughts. Finally, at exactly 1:55 p.m., she entered the lobby. The security guard checked her ID against a list and directed her to the elevators. Miss Chin is expecting you on the 20th floor. The elevator ride felt endless. Tiana watched the numbers climb, her heart pounding harder with each passing floor. When the doors opened, Patricia Chin was waiting for her with a professional smile. Miss Williams? Please follow me. They walked through the executive floor, past glass offices and conference rooms filled with people in expensive suits. Tiana felt completely out of place, like she was wearing a costume in a play she didn't understand. Mr. Mitchell is just finishing up a call, Miss Chin explained as they stopped in front of a large corner office. You can wait here. Through the glass wall, Tiana could see him. Jordan Mitchell, the man who had changed her life in one night, was sitting behind an enormous desk, speaking animatedly into a phone headset. He was wearing a dark suit that probably cost more than she made in 6 months, and his hair was perfectly styled. He looked every inch the successful businessman, nothing like the man who had held her close and whispered her name in the darkness. As if sensing her presence, he looked up and their eyes met through the glass. For a moment the world seemed to stop. She saw recognition flicker across his features, followed by something that might have been confusion. He said something into his headset and then removed it, standing up behind his desk. He's ready for you now, Miss Chin said, opening the office door. Tiana stepped inside, her legs feeling unsteady. The office was enormous, with windows offering a breathtaking view of Elliott Bay and the Olympic Mountains. The furniture was sleek and modern, all clean lines and expensive materials. It was beautiful, but it also felt cold and impersonal. Tiana. Jordan's voice was exactly as she remembered it, deep and smooth. He didn't move from behind his desk, maintaining a professional distance that felt like a barrier between them. Hello, Jordan. She was proud that her voice came out steady despite the chaos in her chest. Please sit down. He gestured to one of the leather chairs in front of his desk. I have to admit I was surprised to receive your letter. It's been, 3 weeks since Nicole's party? Yes, 3 weeks. She sat down, placing her purse carefully on her lap. Thank you for agreeing to see me. I know you must be incredibly busy. I am. His tone was polite but distant. Your letter mentioned something urgent and personal. I'm curious what this is about. Tiana took a deep breath. There was no easy way to say this, no perfect words that would make the news easier to hear. She just had to be direct. I'm pregnant. The silence that followed was deafening. Jordan's expression didn't change, but she saw his hands tighten on the arms of his chair. For a long moment he just stared at her, processing her words. I see, he said finally. And you believe the child is mine? I know it is. You're the only person I've been with in a very long time. Jordan leaned back in his chair, his dark eyes studying her face. I suppose congratulations are in order then. When is the baby due? His calm reaction caught her off guard. She had expected anger, denial, accusations. Instead, he was responding like she had just told him about the weather. Early February according to my calculations. I haven't seen a doctor yet, but I took several tests. They were all positive. And what is it you want from me exactly? The question was asked without hostility, but there was a coolness in his tone that made her feel small. I don't want anything from you. I just thought you had a right to know. How considerate of you. There was a hint of sarcasm in his voice now. And now that I know, what do you expect to happen? Tiana felt tears prick at her eyes. This wasn't going at all how she had hoped. I don't expect anything. I can raise the child on my own. I just wanted to be honest with you. Jordan stood up and walked to the window, his back to her. Do you have any idea what position this puts me in? What this could do to my reputation, my business? I'm not asking you to acknowledge the child publicly. I'm not asking for money or support. I just thought. You thought what? He turned to face her, his expression harder now. That I would be thrilled to learn that a woman I barely know is claiming to be pregnant with my child. The words hit her like a physical blow. Claiming? You think I'm lying? I think this is a very convenient story. We spent one night together and now you're pregnant with what you say is my child. You must realize how that looks. Tiana stood up, her hands shaking with hurt and anger. I'm not some gold digger trying to trap you. I have a job, I have a life. The last thing I wanted was to be pregnant by someone who clearly thinks so little of me. Then why are you here? Because I thought you were a decent person. Because I thought you deserved to know the truth. Jordan's expression softened slightly at her outburst. He walked back to his desk but didn't sit down. I'm sorry. That was unfair of me. It's just, this is unexpected. You think it's unexpected for you? My entire life just changed overnight. Yes, I imagine it did. He was quiet for a moment, studying her face. Assuming what you're telling me is true, what happens now? I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. Have you told anyone else about this? Only my best friend Nicole. She's the one who threw the party where we met. Jordan nodded slowly. I need time to process this. And I think we need to confirm the pregnancy with a doctor before we discuss anything further. I can make an appointment with my regular doctor. No. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a business card. I want you to see my physician. Dr. Sarah Martinez. She's discreet and thorough. I'll have my assistant schedule an appointment for you. Tiana took the card, feeling like she was being managed rather than supported. You don't trust me. I don't trust anyone when it comes to something this important. It's nothing personal. But it felt personal. It felt like he was treating her like a potential threat rather than the mother of his child. She looked down at the business card, expensive and embossed with gold lettering. If the pregnancy is confirmed, Jordan continued, we'll need to discuss terms. Terms? Support, custody arrangements, discretion agreements. This will need to be handled carefully. Tiana felt a chill run down her spine. You're talking about my baby like it's a business deal. In many ways it is. My life, my business, my family, they're all interconnected. A child changes everything. I know that. It's changing everything for me too. Jordan's expression grew gentler. I'm not trying to be cruel, Tiana. But you have to understand the complexity of my situation. I can't afford to make emotional decisions about something this important. What if I don't want your support? What if I just want to raise the child on my own? That's not really an option. If this child is mine, I have responsibilities. Legal responsibilities. The weight of his words settled over her. She had thought she could control how this played out, but she was beginning to realize that Jordan operated in a world with different rules, different expectations. I should go, she said quietly, standing up and grabbing her purse. Wait. Jordan's voice stopped her at the door. I'm sorry if I came across as cold. This is just a lot to take in. She turned back to face him. I understand. I've had a few days to process it and I'm still overwhelmed. The doctor's appointment, will you go? Yes. I want to make sure everything is okay with the baby anyway. Good. I'll have Patricia call you with the details. He paused, running a hand through his hair. And Tiana? I want you to know that if this child is mine, I will take responsibility. I may need time to figure out exactly what that means, but I won't abandon my obligations. It wasn't the warm response she had hoped for, but it was something. Thank you. As she walked toward the door, Jordan called her name again. For what it's worth, I do remember that night. You were different from anyone I'd ever met. Special. The words gave her a small measure of comfort as she left his office. In the elevator, she replayed the conversation in her mind. It hadn't gone well, but it also hadn't been the complete disaster she had feared. He believed her, or at least he was willing to consider that she might be telling the truth. 2 days later, Patricia Chen called to schedule the appointment with Dr. Martinez. The office was in an upscale medical building, clearly catering to wealthy clients. Tiana felt out of place in the elegant waiting room, surrounded by other patients in designer clothes. Dr. Martinez was a kind woman in her 50s who put Tiana at ease immediately. The examination confirmed what Tiana already knew: she was about 6 weeks pregnant, healthy, and due in early February. Everything looks good, Dr. Martinez said as Tiana got dressed after the ultrasound. The baby appears to be developing normally. Do you have any questions? Is it normal to feel so tired all the time? Absolutely. Fatigue is very common in the first trimester. Make sure you're getting plenty of rest and eating regularly, even if you're dealing with morning sickness. As Tiana left the medical building, she felt a strange mix of relief and anxiety. The pregnancy was real, confirmed by medical tests and ultrasound images. There was no denying it now. But that also meant the conversation with Jordan was just beginning. She was walking to the bus stop when a familiar voice called her name. Tiana. She turned to see Jordan approaching from across the street. He was wearing jeans and a sweater, looking more like the man she remembered from the party. Her heart did a little flip at the sight of him. Jordan. What are you doing here? I wanted to hear the results in person. Dr. Martinez is a friend of the family. She called me after your appointment. And? Congratulations. You're definitely pregnant. They stood there on the sidewalk, the weight of the confirmation settling between them. Tiana touched her stomach unconsciously, thinking about the tiny life growing inside her. How are you feeling? Jordan asked. Tired. Overwhelmed. Scared. I'm scared too, he admitted, surprising her. I never thought I'd be a father. Why not? Jordan was quiet for a moment. It's complicated. My family, we don't have the best track record with relationships. My parents' marriage was more of a business arrangement than a love story. I always assumed I'd follow the same pattern. That doesn't mean you can't be different. Maybe. But I don't exactly have a roadmap for this situation. They started walking toward the bus stop together. Neither do I, Tiana said. I always thought when I had children it would be with someone I loved, someone who loved me back. I thought we'd be married, stable, ready. And instead you're having a baby with a virtual stranger. Are we strangers though? I mean, I know we don't know each other well, but that night, it felt like we connected. Like we understood each other. Jordan stopped walking and looked at her. It did feel like that. I've thought about that night more than I probably should have. Then why didn't you call? Because I knew I couldn't give you what you deserved. I work 16-hour days, I travel constantly, I don't do relationships. I thought it would be kinder to let you move on. And now everything has changed. We're going to be connected for the rest of our lives, whether we want to be or not. They reached the bus stop and Tiana checked the schedule. Her bus wasn't due for another 15 minutes. Can I buy you coffee? Jordan asked. There's a cafe across the street. We should probably talk about what comes next. The cafe was small and cozy, a stark contrast to the sterile medical building they had just left. Jordan ordered them both coffee and found a quiet table in the corner. I've been thinking about what you said the other day, he began. About not wanting anything from me. I appreciate that, but it's not realistic. You're going to need support, especially in the beginning. I can manage on my own. Maybe, but you shouldn't have to. This is my child too. Tiana sipped her coffee, trying to process his words. What are you suggesting? I want to help financially. Medical expenses, living costs, whatever you need. And I want to be involved in the child's life, assuming you're comfortable with that. Of course I am. I would never keep you from your child. Good. Because I may not know much about being a father, but I know I want to try. For the first time since finding out she was pregnant, Tiana felt a spark of hope. Maybe this situation wasn't as impossible as she had thought. Maybe they could find a way to make it work. There's something else, Jordan continued. I want to keep this private for now. Not because I'm ashamed, but because the media attention could be intense. I need time to figure out how to handle the public aspects of this. I understand. I don't want to be in the spotlight any more than you do. Thank you. That means a lot. They talked for another hour, making tentative plans for the future. Jordan would cover all medical expenses and provide financial support. He wanted to be involved in doctor's appointments and decisions about the pregnancy. They would take things slowly, getting to know each other better as they navigated this new reality. As they prepared to leave, Jordan reached across the table and briefly touched her hand. I know this isn't how either of us imagined starting a family, but I want you to know that I'm committed to making this work. For the baby's sake and for yours. I want that too, Tiana said softly. Walking back to the bus stop, Tiana felt lighter than she had in weeks. The conversation with Jordan had gone better than she had dared to hope. He was willing to be involved, to support her, to try to make the best of their situation. As her bus pulled up, Jordan surprised her by leaning down and kissing her cheek gently. Take care of yourself, Tiana. And call me if you need anything. Watching him walk away, Tiana touched her cheek where his lips had been. Maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to make this unconventional family work. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time, it didn't feel quite so scary. The next few weeks fell into a strange routine. Jordan would call every few days to check on how Tiana was feeling, always professional but increasingly warm. He had arranged for a car service to take her to and from work, claiming it was safer than the bus. He had also quietly paid off her medical bills and started depositing money into her account to cover living expenses. Tiana tried to protest the financial support, but Jordan was firm. You're carrying my child, he said during one of their phone calls. The least I can do is make sure you're comfortable. She was grateful for the help, even if it made her feel strange to be so dependent on someone she barely knew. The morning sickness was getting worse and she was exhausted all the time. Having reliable transportation and not worrying about money made everything a little easier. They had started meeting for coffee once a week, always at the same small cafe near Dr. Martinez's office. Jordan seemed to be making an effort to get to know her better, asking about her art, her family, her dreams for the future. He was still reserved, but she could see glimpses of the man she had met at the party, the one who had listened to her with such intensity. Tell me about your paintings, he said during one of their meetings. You mentioned that night that you were working on a series about urban isolation. Tiana was surprised he remembered such a specific detail. I'm trying to capture the feeling of being alone in a crowded city. The way you can be surrounded by people but still feel completely disconnected. That's something I understand well, Jordan said quietly. Is that how you feel? Disconnected? Most of the time, yes. Success can be isolating. People want things from you, but they don't necessarily want to know you. Is that why you think I'm with you? Because I want something? Jordan looked uncomfortable. I'm trying not to think that way. But it's hard to change patterns of thinking that have kept me safe for years. What do you mean, kept you safe? My family isn't exactly warm and fuzzy. My father was all about business, about building the company. My mother was focused on social status and appearances. Love was never really part of the equation. Tiana felt a pang of sympathy for him. That sounds lonely. It was. But it also taught me to be self-reliant. To not expect too much from other people. Is that why you've never been married? Jordan's hand tightened around his coffee cup. Partly. I also. He paused, seeming to struggle with something. There's something you should know. Something that makes this whole situation even more complicated. What is it? I've been told that I can't have children. I was diagnosed with infertility 5 years ago. Tiana stared at him, confused. But I'm pregnant. With your baby. I know. Which is why I've been struggling to understand this situation. According to my doctor, the chances of me fathering a child are virtually zero. Are you saying you don't think the baby is yours? No, I'm saying that medically this shouldn't be possible. But I also know that you're not lying. You're too genuine, too real to be running some elaborate con. Tiana felt a mix of emotions: confusion, hurt, and something that might have been hope. So what does this mean? It means we need to get some answers. I've made an appointment with a fertility specialist for next week. I want to understand exactly what's happening here. And if the tests confirm that you're infertile, then we'll deal with that when it happens. But right now, I want to focus on the facts. The appointment with Dr. Robert Kim, the fertility specialist, was scheduled for the following Wednesday. Tiana felt nervous as they sat in the waiting room together, surrounded by other couples who were clearly struggling with their own fertility challenges. "Mr. Mitchell," Dr. Kim said as they entered his office, "I've reviewed your previous test results. I understand you have some questions about a recent pregnancy." "Yes. This is Tiana Williams. She's pregnant and I'm supposedly the father. But according to my previous diagnosis, that should be impossible." Dr. Kim looked at both of them with a professional but kind expression. "I'd like to run some new tests if you're comfortable with that. Medical conditions can change over time, and sometimes initial diagnoses can be incomplete." Over the next hour, Jordan underwent a series of tests while Tiana waited in the consultation room. She found herself studying the diplomas on the wall, trying to distract herself from the anxiety building in her chest. When Jordan returned, he looked tense. "How long before we get results?" "The basic analysis can be done today. More detailed testing will take a few days, but I should be able to give you preliminary results before you leave." They waited in uncomfortable silence. Tiana wanted to reach for Jordan's hand to offer some comfort, but she wasn't sure if the gesture would be welcome. Despite their weekly coffee dates, they still felt like strangers in many ways. Dr. Kim returned with a file in his hands and a puzzled expression on his face. "Well, this is interesting. Mr. Mitchell, according to today's tests, your sperm count and motility are completely normal. There's no indication of any fertility issues." Jordan leaned forward in his chair. "That's impossible. Dr. Harrison ran extensive tests 5 years ago. He said my chances of fathering a child were less than 1%. "May I ask who performed your previous testing?" "Dr. James Harrison. He's been my family's physician for years." Dr. Kim made a note in the file. "I'd like to request your medical records from Dr. Harrison's office. Sometimes test results can be misinterpreted, or there may have been lab errors. It's also possible that you had a temporary condition that has since resolved." "Are you saying I was never infertile?" "I'm saying that based on today's testing, there's no reason why you couldn't father a child. In fact, all indicators suggest that you're quite fertile." Tiana felt a wave of relief wash over her. She hadn't realized how much Jordan's doubts had been affecting her until they were suddenly lifted. "So the baby could be mine?" Jordan asked. "Based on these results, absolutely. Of course, we can do paternity testing to be completely certain, but there's no medical reason to doubt it." They left the doctor's office in a daze. Jordan was quiet during the elevator ride down, processing what they had learned. "How do you feel about this?" Tiana asked as they walked to his car. "Confused. Relieved. Angry maybe." "Angry? I've spent 5 years believing I couldn't have children. I've made life decisions based on that information. And now I find out it might have been wrong all along. Maybe it wasn't wrong at the time. Maybe something changed." Jordan shook his head. Dr. Kim seemed to think the original diagnosis was questionable. "I think I need to have a conversation with Dr. Harrison. Are you okay with this? With the baby being yours?" Jordan stopped walking and turned to face her. "Yes. I mean, it's terrifying, but yes. I want this child to be mine, Tiana. I want to be a father." The sincerity in his voice made her heart skip. "I want that too. There's something else we need to discuss. Now that we know the baby is definitely mine, we need to think about the future. About what kind of relationship we want to have." "What do you mean?" "I mean, are we going to be two separate people who happen to share a child? Or are we going to try to be a family?" The question hung in the air between them. Tiana had been wondering the same thing, but she hadn't dared to voice it. "I don't know," she said honestly. "What do you want?" "I want to try. I want to see if we can build something together. Not just for the baby but for us." "Are you sure? You said yourself that you don't do relationships." "I also said I thought I couldn't have children. Maybe it's time to reconsider some of my assumptions." They had reached his car, a sleek black sedan that probably cost more than most people's houses. Jordan opened the passenger door for her, a gesture that still surprised her with its old-fashioned courtesy. "Where would we even start?" Tiana asked as he started the engine. "I don't know. Maybe we could start by spending more time together. Getting to know each other better. See what happens." "Are you asking me on a date?" Jordan smiled, the first genuine smile she had seen from him in weeks. "I guess I am. Would you like to have dinner with me tomorrow night?" Somewhere nice but not too formal. Somewhere we can actually talk. I'd like that. Good. I'll pick you up at 7. As Jordan drove her home, Tiana felt a flutter of excitement in her chest. Not just about the dinner but about the possibility of something more. Maybe they could find a way to make this work. Maybe they could build a real relationship, a real family. The revelation about Jordan's fertility had changed everything. He wasn't just accepting responsibility for the baby, he was embracing it. And more importantly, he was embracing the possibility of a future with her. That night, Tiana called Nicole to tell her about the latest developments. "He asked you on a date?" Nicole shrieked. "This is huge." "I know. I'm nervous and excited and terrified all at the same time. What are you going to wear?" "I have no idea. I don't exactly have a lot of date clothes, especially ones that will fit over my growing belly. We're going shopping tomorrow. This is too important to leave to chance." After hanging up, Tiana sat on her bed, one hand resting on her stomach. The baby was still too small to feel, but she liked to imagine she could sense its presence. Soon she would start showing. Soon the pregnancy would be impossible to hide. But for now, she had a date with the father of her child. A man who was slowly becoming less of a stranger and more of a possibility. A man who might just be willing to take a chance on love, despite all the reasons why it seemed impossible. The next evening, Tiana stood in front of her bathroom mirror, applying lipstick with shaking hands. Nicole had taken her shopping that afternoon, and they had found a beautiful burgundy dress that skimmed her body without being too tight around her still small bump. It was more expensive than anything Tiana had ever owned, but Nicole had insisted it was an investment in her future. "You look stunning," Nicole had said when Tiana tried it on. "Jordan's going to forget how to breathe when he sees you." Now, alone in her apartment, Tiana wasn't so sure. The dress was beautiful, but she felt nervous and out of place. What did she know about dating a billionaire? What would they even talk about? At exactly 7 o'clock, there was a knock on her door. Tiana took a deep breath and opened it to find Jordan standing in the hallway, holding a small bouquet of white roses. He was wearing dark jeans and a navy button-down shirt, looking more relaxed than she had ever seen him. "You look beautiful," he said, his eyes taking in her appearance with obvious appreciation. "Thank you. So do you." She accepted the flowers, breathing in their delicate fragrance. "These are lovely. I wasn't sure what kind of flowers you liked. I figured white roses were safe." "They're perfect. Let me just put these in water." As she arranged the flowers in a vase, Jordan looked around her small apartment. It was the first time he had been inside, and she watched him take in the canvases propped against the walls, the easel in the corner, the books stacked on every available surface. "Your work is incredible," he said, studying one of her paintings. It was a street scene in Capitol Hill, painted in muted blues and grays that somehow managed to capture both the loneliness and the beauty of urban life. "Thank you. That one's from a series I did last year about finding beauty in ordinary moments. You have a gift for seeing things that other people miss." "Is that what you saw in me that night? Something other people miss?" Jordan turned to face her, his expression serious. "I saw someone real. Someone who wasn't trying to impress me or use me. Someone who was just herself. I'm still that person, you know. The pregnancy hasn't changed who I am." "I know. But I'm realizing that I barely scratched the surface of who you are that night. I want to know more." They drove to a small Italian restaurant in the Queen Anne neighborhood, the kind of place that felt intimate without being pretentious. Jordan had obviously chosen it carefully, somewhere they could talk without being overheard or recognized. "I have a confession," Jordan said as they settled into their booth. "I've been researching you." Tiana raised an eyebrow. "Researching me?" "I had my assistant look into your background. I wanted to understand who you are, where you come from." "That's a little creepy, don't you think?" "Probably. But I needed to know if you were telling the truth about everything. About not wanting anything from me." "And what did you find?" "That you're exactly who you said you were. A struggling artist from a working-class family, no criminal record, no history of going after wealthy men. You even volunteer at a literacy program for kids." Tiana felt a flush of embarrassment. "I help kids with reading after school twice a week. It's not a big deal." "It is to me. It tells me something about your character." "So do I pass your background check?" Jordan had the grace to look ashamed. "I'm sorry. I know it was invasive. But given my position, I have to be careful about who I let into my life." "I understand. But if we're going to try to build something together, you need to trust me. Really trust me." "I want to. I'm just not sure I know how." The waiter arrived to take their order, giving them a moment to reset the conversation. Tiana ordered the salmon, while Jordan chose the pasta with mushrooms. "Tell me about your family," Jordan said after the waiter left. "What are your parents like?" "They're good people. My dad works construction and my mom is a nurse's aide. They've been married for 30 years and still hold hands when they walk down the street." "That must have been nice to grow up with." "It was. They didn't have much money but they loved each other and they loved me." "What about your parents?" Jordan's expression grew distant. "They're complicated. My father built Mitchell Industries from nothing, but he was never really present. He was always working, always focused on the next deal. My mother was more concerned with appearances than substance." "Do you see them often?" "We have dinner once a month. It's usually tense and formal. They've been asking questions about my personal life lately, wondering when I'm going to settle down and produce an heir." "How do you think they'll react to the news about the baby?" Jordan was quiet for a moment. "I honestly don't know. They'll probably be shocked that I'm having a child with someone they've never met. But they'll also be pleased that the family line will continue." "Will they want to be involved in the baby's life?" "My mother will want to control every aspect of the child's upbringing. She has very specific ideas about how Mitchell children should be raised." "And you? What kind of father do you want to be?" "Nothing like my father. I want to be present, involved. I want my child to know that they're loved for who they are, not for what they accomplish." The sincerity in his voice made Tiana's heart flutter. "I think you'll be a good father." "I hope so. I don't have much experience with kids." "Neither do I really. I mean, I work with children at the literacy program, but being a parent is different." "We'll figure it out together." Their food arrived and they ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Tiana was surprised by how easy it was to be with Jordan when he wasn't in his corporate armor. He was still serious and intense, but there was a warmth to him that she hadn't expected. "Can I ask you something?" Jordan said as they waited for dessert. "Of course." "That night at the party when we were talking about dreams and expectations you said something that stuck with me. You said that sometimes the most beautiful things come from the most unexpected places." Tiana nodded, remembering. "I was talking about my art. How some of my best paintings have come from moments of chaos or confusion. Do you think that applies to us? To this situation?" "I don't know. Maybe. I mean, neither of us planned this, but that doesn't mean it can't be beautiful. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. About how maybe my whole life has been too planned, too controlled. Maybe I need more chaos." "Careful what you wish for. Babies are basically chaos in human form." Jordan laughed, a real laugh that transformed his entire face. "I suppose I'll find out soon enough." "Are you scared?" "Terrified. But also excited. I never thought I'd feel this way about having a child." "Because you thought you couldn't have one?" "Partly. But also because I never thought I'd find someone I'd want to have a child with." The words hung between them, loaded with meaning. Tiana felt her cheeks warm under his gaze. "Jordan? I know it's too soon to say things like that. I know we barely know each other. But I can't deny what I'm feeling." "What are you feeling?" "Like maybe I've been waiting my whole life for someone like you. Someone who sees the world differently than I do. Someone who challenges me to be better." Tiana reached across the table and placed her hand over his. "I'm feeling it too. This connection between us. I felt it that first night and it's only gotten stronger. Where do we go from here?" "I don't know. But I'd like to find out." Jordan lifted her hand to his lips and kissed it gently. "So would I." They talked for another hour over dessert, sharing stories about their childhoods, their hopes for the future, their fears about parenthood. By the time Jordan drove her home, Tiana felt like she was seeing him clearly for the first time. "Thank you for tonight," she said as he walked her to her door. "I had a wonderful time." "So did I. Can I see you again tomorrow?" "You want to see me tomorrow?" "I want to see you every day if you'll let me." Tiana smiled, feeling giddy with possibility. "I'd like that." Jordan leaned down and kissed her softly, his lips warm and gentle against hers. It was nothing like the passionate kisses they had shared that first night. This was tender, full of promise rather than desire. "Good night, Tiana." "Good night, Jordan." As she watched him drive away, Tiana touched her lips, still tingling from his kiss. Something had shifted between them tonight. They had moved from being strangers connected by circumstance to two people genuinely interested in building a future together. The next morning, Jordan called while she was having breakfast. "Good morning. How are you feeling?" "Good. A little nauseous, but that's normal. I was thinking if you're feeling up to it, maybe we could spend the day together. I could show you some of my favorite places in the city." "That sounds lovely." But don't you have to work? I cleared my schedule. I figure if I'm going to be a father in 7 months, I should probably learn how to balance work and personal life. Are you sure? I don't want you to neglect your responsibilities because of me. Tiana, you and the baby are my responsibilities now. The most important ones I have. Something in his tone made her heart skip. Okay. I'd love to spend the day with you. I'll pick you up in an hour. Jordan took her to Pike Place Market, where they wandered through the stalls, sampling fresh fruit and watching the fishmongers throw salmon. He seemed more relaxed than she had ever seen him, laughing at her reactions to the chaos and crowds. This is one of my favorite places in the city, he said as they sat on a bench overlooking Elliott Bay. When I was a kid, my nanny would bring me here sometimes. It was the only place where I felt like a normal child. You had a nanny? Several. My parents were always too busy to take care of me themselves. That must have been lonely. It was. But it taught me to be independent. Maybe our child won't have to be so independent. Maybe they'll have parents who are actually present. Jordan looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. I hope so. I want to be the kind of father who knows his child's favorite color and what makes them laugh. What's your favorite color? Blue. Like the color of your eyes. Tiana felt herself blushing. That's a good answer. What's yours? Yellow. Like sunshine on a cloudy day. I'll remember that. They spent the afternoon at the Seattle Art Museum, where Jordan listened intently as Tiana explained the techniques and meanings behind various pieces. He asked thoughtful questions and seemed genuinely interested in her perspective. You see so much more than I do, he said as they stood in front of an abstract painting. I look at this and see colors and shapes. You see emotion and story. You could learn to see it too. It's just about looking differently. Teach me. So she did. They spent an hour in front of various paintings with Tiana explaining how to look beyond the surface, how to connect with the artist's intent. Jordan was a quick learner, and soon he was making observations that surprised her with their insight. You're a natural, she said as they left the museum. Maybe you should take up art as a hobby. Maybe I will. I could use more beauty in my life. Don't you find beauty in your work? In building something meaningful? I used to. But lately, it feels more like obligation than passion. Maybe that will change when the baby comes. Maybe having a family will give you a new perspective on what's important. Maybe it will. That evening, Jordan took her to dinner at a small seafood restaurant on the waterfront. They talked about their hopes for the future, their fears about parenthood, their growing feelings for each other. I have something to tell you, Jordan said as they shared a piece of chocolate cake. I've been thinking about what you said last night about trusting you. I want to try. What does that mean? It means I want to stop overthinking everything and just be with you. See where this goes without trying to control every aspect of it. That sounds scary for someone like you. It is. But you make me want to be brave. You make me want to be brave too. Jordan reached across the table and took her hand. I know this is all happening fast and I know our situation is complicated. But I want you to know that I'm all in. Whatever happens, I want to face it together. I want that too. Good. Because I have a proposition for you. What kind of proposition? I want you to move in with me. Tiana nearly choked on her water. You want me to what? Move in with me. I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. Jordan's grip on her hand tightened. You're pregnant with my child. We're trying to build a relationship. It makes sense for us to be together, especially as the pregnancy progresses. Jordan, we've had exactly 2 dates. Moving in together is a huge step. I know. But nothing about our situation is conventional. Maybe we need to stop thinking about normal timelines and focus on what makes sense for us. Tiana pulled her hand free and leaned back in her chair. What makes sense is taking things slowly. Getting to know each other better. Not rushing into living together just because I'm pregnant. It's not just because you're pregnant. It's because I want to be part of every moment of this experience. I want to be there when you're sick in the mornings. I want to feel the baby kick. I want to help you get ready for doctor's appointments. You can do all of that without us living together. Can I? You live on the other side of the city. I work 14-hour days. How are we supposed to build a relationship if we only see each other once or twice a week? Tiana could see the logic in his argument, but something about it felt wrong. I don't want to move in with you just for convenience. If we're going to live together, it should be because we love each other, not because it's practical. And how are we supposed to fall in love if we never spend time together? The same way people have been falling in love for centuries. By dating, by talking, by taking things one step at a time. Jordan ran a hand through his hair, looking frustrated. I'm not good at this, Tiana. I don't know how to do the whole dating thing. I've never had a relationship that lasted more than a few months. Maybe that's because you always try to rush things. Maybe you need to learn patience. I don't have time for patience. The baby will be here in 7 months. The baby isn't going anywhere. And neither am I. We have time to figure this out. Jordan was quiet for a moment, staring out at the water. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm just used to solving problems by taking action, not by waiting. This isn't a problem to be solved. It's a relationship to be built. I know. I want to do this right. I want to be the kind of partner you deserve. Then trust me when I say that moving in together right now isn't the right choice. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Spending time together, getting to know each other, seeing where this goes. Okay. But I want to see you every day. Can we compromise on that? Tiana smiled. I think we can work something out. Over the next few weeks they fell into a routine. Jordan would pick her up from work and they would spend the evening together, either at his apartment or hers. They would cook dinner, watch movies, talk about their days. It was domestic and comfortable in a way that surprised them both. Tiana was amazed by how different Jordan was outside of his office. At home he was relaxed and funny, quick to laugh at her jokes and interested in her opinions. He helped her with the dishes, massaged her feet when they were sore, and read pregnancy books with the same intensity he brought to business reports. Did you know that the baby can hear music now? He said one evening, looking up from the pregnancy book he was reading. They were curled up on his couch, Tiana's head resting on his shoulder. Really? We're only at 14 weeks. According to this, the baby's ears are developed enough to hear sounds from outside the womb. Maybe we should start playing music. What kind of music does one play for an unborn baby? Classical, I suppose. Mozart is supposed to make babies smarter. Tiana laughed. Our baby is going to be smart regardless of what music we play. Look at the genes it's getting. Jordan kissed the top of her head. You're probably right. But it can't hurt to give them a head start. These moments of easy intimacy were becoming more frequent. Jordan was naturally affectionate, always reaching for her hand or pulling her close when they watched movies. Tiana found herself relaxing into his touch, feeling more comfortable with him than she had with anyone in years. But their peaceful bubble was about to be burst. My mother wants to meet you, Jordan announced one morning over breakfast. They were at his apartment, and he was making her scrambled eggs while she sipped ginger tea for her nausea. Your mother? Why now? She's been asking questions about why I've been leaving the office early and canceling weekend meetings. I think she suspects something. What did you tell her? That I'm seeing someone. She immediately demanded details. Tiana felt a flutter of anxiety. What kind of details? Your name, your background, your intentions. You know, the usual maternal interrogation. And you told her about the pregnancy? Jordan paused in his egg scrambling. Not yet. I thought we should meet first, see how it goes. Jordan, she's going to find out eventually. Isn't it better to be honest from the beginning? You don't know my mother. She can be intense. I want her to get to know you as a person before she finds out about the baby. Are you ashamed of me? What? No. God, no, Tiana. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. The words hung in the air between them. It was the closest either of them had come to saying they loved each other. Then why are you afraid to tell your mother the truth? Jordan sighed, setting down the spatula. Because she'll have opinions. Lots of them. And she won't keep them to herself. What kind of opinions? About you, about the baby, about how we should handle the situation. She's used to controlling every aspect of my life. And you let her? Not anymore. But old habits die hard. Tiana stood up and walked to where he was standing by the stove. She placed her hands on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart under her palms. Jordan, I don't need your mother's approval. But I need to know that you're not going to let her come between us. She won't. I promise. Then let's tell her the truth. All of it. The pregnancy, our relationship, everything. Jordan covered her hands with his. Are you sure you're ready for that? I'm sure. We can't build a life together if we're hiding parts of it from your family. Okay. I'll call her today and set up dinner for this weekend. Both parents. My father will probably come too. He doesn't usually get involved in personal matters, but he'll want to meet the woman who's captured his son's attention. No pressure there. Jordan pulled her closer, wrapping his arms around her waist. They're going to love you. How could they not? Because I'm not from their world. Because I'm pregnant with their grandchild and we're not married. Because I work in a coffee shop and live in a studio apartment. None of that matters. It might matter to them. Jordan was quiet for a moment. If it does, then that's their problem, not ours. Is it though? You said yourself that your business and your family are interconnected. What if they disapprove of me? What if it affects your company? Then I'll deal with it. You and the baby are more important than business. Are you sure about that? Because once we have this dinner, there's no going back. They'll know about us, about the baby. It'll be real. It's already real, Tiana. This, he gestured between them, what we have is real. The baby is real. Everything else is just details. Saturday evening arrived faster than Tiana would have liked. She had spent hours getting ready, changing outfits 3 times before settling on a simple black dress that Nicole had insisted was perfect for meeting intimidating in-laws. You look beautiful, Jordan said as he helped her into his car. And nervous. I am nervous. What if they hate me? They won't hate you. They might be surprised, but they won't hate you. The Mitchell family home was exactly what Tiana had expected, a sprawling mansion in the exclusive Medina neighborhood, with perfectly manicured grounds and a circular driveway that could accommodate a dozen cars. It was the kind of house she had only seen in magazines, beautiful but somehow cold. Impressive, she said as Jordan parked in front of the imposing front door. It's where I grew up, though it never really felt like home. What did home feel like? I'm still figuring that out. But lately home feels like wherever you are. Before Tiana could respond to that declaration, the front door opened and a woman emerged. Victoria Mitchell was exactly what Tiana had imagined: tall, elegant, and intimidating. She was wearing a cream-colored suit that probably cost more than Tiana made in 6 months, and her silver hair was styled in a perfect chignon. Jordan, darling, she said, air-kissing her son's cheeks. You're right on time. Mother, I'd like you to meet Tiana Williams. Tiana, this is my mother, Victoria Mitchell. Victoria's sharp blue eyes assessed Tiana from head to toe, taking in every detail. Ms. Williams, Jordan has told me so little about you. I'm curious to learn more. It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Mitchell. Thank you for having me. Please call me Victoria. Come in, come in. Your father is waiting in the study. The interior of the house was as impressive as the exterior: marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and artwork that Tiana suspected was worth more than most people's houses. Everything was perfect and pristine, like a museum rather than a home. Richard Mitchell was in his late 60s, with the same dark eyes as his son and an air of quiet authority. He stood up when they entered the study, extending his hand to Tiana. Ms. Williams. A pleasure to meet you. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Your home is beautiful. Victoria's doing, I'm afraid. I just live here. Victoria shot her husband a look that suggested this was not the time for jokes. Shall we go into dinner? I've had cook prepare something special. Dinner was an elaborate affair: multiple courses served on fine china with crystal glasses and silver cutlery. Tiana felt like she was in a movie, everything so formal and perfect that she was afraid to touch anything. So, Ms. Williams, Victoria said as the soup course was served, Jordan tells me you're an artist. How interesting. Do you make a living from your art? I'm working on it. Right now I supplement my income with a part-time job. How admirable. And what kind of art do you create? Paintings mostly. Urban landscapes, portraits. I try to capture the beauty in everyday life. How quaint. Victoria's tone suggested she found it anything but. And your family? What do they do? My father works in construction, and my mother is a nurse's aide. Working people. How refreshing. Tiana could feel the condescension in Victoria's voice, but she kept her expression neutral. Beside her, Jordan's jaw was tightening. Tiana's work is incredible, Jordan said. She has a real gift for seeing beauty where others might not look. I'm sure she does, darling. Tell me, Ms. Williams, how did you and Jordan meet? This was it. The moment Tiana had been dreading. She looked at Jordan, who nodded encouragingly. We met at a party. My friend Nicole was celebrating her birthday at the Fairmont. And you hit it off immediately? We did. We talked for hours about art and life and dreams. How romantic. And how long have you been dating? Actually, Jordan interrupted, we need to tell you something. Both of you. Victoria set down her soup spoon, her attention sharpening. Oh, what is it? Tiana and I are having a baby. The silence that followed was deafening. Victoria's face went completely blank, while Richard choked on his wine. The only sound was the ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. I beg your pardon? Victoria's voice was dangerously quiet. Tiana is pregnant. We're having a child together. And when did this happen? About 3 months ago. Victoria's gaze shifted to Tiana, her eyes now openly hostile. How convenient. You must be thrilled to have trapped a Mitchell heir. Mother. Jordan's voice was sharp with anger. It's okay, Tiana said quietly, though her heart was racing. Mrs. Mitchell, I understand why you might think that, but I want you to know that I never intended for any of this to happen. The pregnancy was unplanned. Oh, I'm sure it was, Victoria said with obvious disbelief. Tell me, dear, what do you want from my son? I don't want anything from him. I'm perfectly capable of raising this child on my own. Are you? On a coffee shop salary? Mother, that's enough, Jordan said, standing up. I won't let you attack Tiana like this. Sit down, Jordan. I'm simply trying to understand the situation. The situation is that I'm going to be a father, and Tiana is going to be the mother of my child. We're together and we're happy. Together? Richard spoke for the first time since the announcement. Are you married? Not yet, Jordan said. But we're discussing it. This was news to Tiana, but she kept her expression neutral. I see, Victoria said. And how long have you known each other? A few months? A few weeks. We met 12 weeks ago, Tiana said honestly. 12 weeks. Victoria laughed, but there was no humor in it. Jordan, surely you can see how this looks. A woman you barely know claims to be pregnant with your child and suddenly you're playing house. It's not like that. Isn't it? Tell me, Ms. Williams, what is it that you find so appealing about my son? His charm? His wit? Or perhaps his bank account? I find his kindness appealing, Tiana said firmly. His intelligence, his passion for his work, his desire to be a good father. I couldn't care less about his money. How noble. And yet here you are, in his home, eating at his table, no doubt living off his generosity. Victoria, Richard said quietly, that's enough. No, it's not enough. Our son is about to make the biggest mistake of his life, and you want me to sit here and smile about it? Jordan threw his napkin down on the table. Tiana, we're leaving. Jordan, wait, his father said. Let's all calm down and discuss this rationally. There's nothing to discuss. Either you accept Tiana and our child or you don't. But I won't subject her to any more of this. You're making a mistake, son, Victoria said. Mark my words, this will end badly. The only mistake I'm making is staying here and listening to this. Jordan helped Tiana up from her chair. When you're ready to treat the woman I love with respect, you know where to find us. The woman I love. The words echoed in Tiana's mind as they walked out of the dining room and through the front door. Jordan had said he loved her. In front of his parents, in the heat of anger, but he had said it. I'm sorry, Jordan said as they drove away from the house. I'm so sorry you had to endure that. It's okay. I expected it might go badly. It's not okay. She had no right to speak to you like that. She's protecting you. In her own way, she thinks she's looking out for your best interests. My best interests include you and our baby. If she can't see that, then that's her loss. They drove in silence for a few minutes before Tiana spoke again. Did you mean what you said back there? About loving me? Jordan pulled the car over to the side of the road and turned to face her. I meant every word. I love you, Tiana. I know it's fast, I know it's complicated, but I love you. I love you too, she whispered. Jordan leaned over and kissed her, pouring all of his emotions into the gentle touch of his lips. When they broke apart, they were both crying. We're going to be okay, he said. Whatever happens with my family, we're going to be okay. I know. But Jordan, I don't want to come between you and your parents. You're not. They're choosing to make this difficult. Once the baby is born, once they see how happy we are together, they'll come around. And if they don't? Then that's their choice. But I choose you, Tiana. I choose our family. As they drove home to Jordan's apartment, Tiana felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. The dinner had been as difficult as she had feared, but it had also clarified something important. Jordan was willing to choose her over his family's approval. He was willing to fight for their relationship, for their future together. Maybe they could make this work after all. The weeks following the disastrous dinner with Jordan's parents were tense. Victoria Mitchell had made several attempts to contact Jordan, leaving voicemails that ranged from tearful apologies to stern warnings about his future. Jordan ignored them all, focusing instead on his relationship with Tiana and preparing for their child's arrival. Tiana was now 18 weeks pregnant and just beginning to show. Her morning sickness had finally subsided, but she was dealing with other pregnancy symptoms: fatigue, backaches, and the emotional roller coaster that came with changing hormones. Jordan had been incredibly supportive, bringing her tea when she felt sick, massaging her shoulders when they ached, and listening patiently when pregnancy emotions made her cry over commercials. I think we need to start looking at bigger places, Jordan said one evening as they sat in Tiana's tiny apartment. He was perched uncomfortably on her small couch, his long legs folded awkwardly in the cramped space. "This place is fine for now," Tiana said, though she knew he was right. Her studio apartment would be impossibly crowded once the baby arrived. "Tiana, be practical. Where are we going to put a crib? A changing table? All the stuff babies need." "I don't need a mansion, Jordan. Just something with a separate bedroom for the baby. I could help you find something. Something nice but not too big. Maybe a 2-bedroom in Capitol Hill or Queen Anne." "With what money? Do you know what 2-bedroom apartments cost in those neighborhoods?" Jordan was quiet for a moment. "I could help with the rent." "No. We've talked about this. I don't want to be financially dependent on you. But you're carrying my child. It's my responsibility to make sure you're comfortable. Your responsibility is to be a good father to our baby. Everything else I can handle myself." Jordan ran his hands through his hair, a gesture Tiana had learned meant he was frustrated. "Why are you so stubborn about accepting help?" "Because I need to know that I can take care of myself and the baby if something happens. What if you decide you don't want this life? What if you meet someone else?" "That's not going to happen. You don't know that. We've been together for 6 weeks, Jordan." 6 weeks. People change their minds all the time. "I'm not going to change my mind about you." "Then prove it." The words hung in the air between them. Jordan looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "What do you mean?" "I mean, if you're so sure about us, if you really want to build a life together, then make it official." "Are you asking me to propose?" "I'm asking you to put your money where your mouth is. Stop talking about the future and actually commit to it." Jordan stood up and began pacing her small living room. "You want to get married? I want to know that we're in this together. Really together. Not just until something better comes along. Tiana, marriage is a big step. Maybe we should live together first, make sure we're compatible. We've been practically living together for weeks. You're here every night. That's different." "How?" "Because this is your place. I can leave whenever I want." The honesty of his statement stung. "I see. So you want all the benefits of a relationship with none of the commitment." "That's not what I meant." "Isn't it? You want me to move in with you, let you support me financially, have your baby, but you won't even consider marriage." "I didn't say I wouldn't consider it. I just think we should be practical about this." "Practical?" "Jordan, I'm going to be tied to you for the rest of my life whether we're married or not. We're having a child together. How much more tied together can we get?" Jordan stopped pacing and looked at her. "You're right. Marriage doesn't really change anything between us." "Exactly. So what's holding you back?" "I don't know. Fear maybe. My parents' marriage was a disaster. I've never seen a good example of what marriage should look like. Then let's figure it out together. Let's create our own example." Jordan sat back down beside her and took her hands. "Are you sure this is what you want? Marriage to me means dealing with my family, the media attention, the pressure that comes with being a Mitchell. I'm already dealing with all of that just by being with you." "True. But marriage makes it official. There's no hiding from it then." "I don't want to hide. I'm tired of feeling like your dirty little secret." "You're not a secret." "Aren't I? We've been together for weeks and the only people who know about our relationship are Nicole, your parents, and your assistant. That's not exactly public." Jordan was quiet for a long moment. "You're right. I've been trying to protect you from the attention, but maybe I've been protecting myself too." "From what?" "From having to explain why I'm with someone so different from the women I usually date." "Different how?" "Real. Genuine. Someone who sees me as a person instead of a bank account." "Jordan, that's exactly why we work. Because we're real with each other." "I know. And you're right about marriage. If we're going to do this, we should do it properly." "So you'll consider it?" "I'll do more than consider it." Jordan stood up again, but this time he walked to where she was sitting and dropped to one knee. "Tiana Williams, will you marry me?" Tiana stared at him in shock. "Are you serious right now?" "Dead serious. I love you, I want to spend my life with you, and I want our child to have parents who are committed to each other. Will you marry me?" "Jordan, this isn't how I imagine getting proposed to. I know it's not romantic. I don't have a ring, I'm not in a fancy restaurant, there's no perfect speech. But I know what I want and I want you." Tiana looked into his dark eyes, seeing sincerity and love reflected there. This wasn't the fairy tale proposal she had dreamed of as a little girl, but it was real. It was them. "Yes," she said softly. "Yes, I'll marry you." Jordan's face broke into a huge grin as he stood up and pulled her into his arms. "Really? Really? But I have conditions. Name them. I want a prenup. Jordan's smile faltered. A prenup? Tiana, that's not necessary. It is for me. I need to know that if this doesn't work out, I can leave with my dignity intact. I don't want your money and I want that in writing. But what about the baby? They'll be my heir. The baby will be provided for, obviously. But I don't want anything for myself beyond reasonable support during the marriage. Jordan studied her face. You're really serious about this? Dead serious. I won't marry you without it. Okay. If that's what you want, then we'll draw up a prenup. Good. What else? What do you mean, what else? I said conditions plural. The prenup was just the first one. What's the second condition? I want us to get married soon. Before I start really showing. I don't want our child to be born out of wedlock. How soon? Next month. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. Tiana, planning a wedding takes months. I don't want a big wedding. I want something simple and intimate. Something that's about us, not about impressing people. Jordan nodded slowly. I can work with that. What's the third condition? After we're married, I want to contribute financially to our household. I'll get a better job or find a way to make more money from my art. I won't be a kept woman. Tiana, you're going to be busy with the baby. You don't need to worry about money. I need to worry about maintaining my independence. I need to know that I'm contributing something besides just having your child. You're contributing everything. Your love, your partnership, your strength. That's worth more than money. Maybe to you, but I need to feel useful. I need to feel like an equal partner. Jordan pulled her close and kissed her forehead. You are an equal partner. But if working makes you happy, then we'll figure out how to make it work. Thank you. Is that all the conditions? For now. Good. Because I have some conditions of my own. Such as, I want to buy us a house. Something that's ours, not mine or yours. Somewhere we can raise our family. Jordan, I can't afford a house. The prenup will protect your interests. But I want us to have a real home, not an apartment or a condo. I want our children to have a yard to play in. Children? Plural? This baby won't be an only child if I have anything to say about it. Tiana felt a flutter of happiness at the thought of more children, a whole family with Jordan. Okay. A house. What else? I want you to quit your job at the coffee shop. The hours are too long and you're on your feet too much. It's not good for you or the baby. Jordan, I need that income. I'll cover your expenses until we're married and you can find something better. Consider it an early wedding gift. I don't like being financially dependent on you. It's temporary. Just until the wedding. After that, we'll be sharing everything anyway. Tiana considered this. She was exhausted by her job, and the smell of coffee had been making her nauseous lately. Maybe it would be good to take a break, focus on the pregnancy and the wedding. Okay. But I want to give them proper notice. 2 weeks. Done. Anything else? I want you to try to reconcile with your parents. Not for them but for our child. Every child deserves to know their grandparents. Jordan's expression grew serious. I don't know if that's possible. You heard how my mother spoke to you. People say things in anger that they don't mean. Maybe if you give her time, she'll come around. And if she doesn't? Then at least you'll know you tried. Jordan sighed. I'll think about it. But I won't expose you to any more of her hostility. Fair enough. They spent the next hour making plans for their quick wedding. Jordan wanted to hire a wedding planner, but Tiana insisted they could handle the arrangements themselves. They would get married in the small chapel at the Seattle Center, with just Nicole, a few of Jordan's friends and hopefully his parents in attendance. We should probably tell Nicole, Tiana said as they finalized the guest list. She's going to freak out when she finds out we're getting married in 3 weeks. Good freak out or bad freak out? Probably both. She'll be excited but also worried that we're rushing things. Are we rushing things? Tiana looked at Jordan, taking in his handsome face, his kind eyes, the way he unconsciously placed his hand on her growing belly when he was thinking. Maybe. But sometimes the best things happen when you stop overthinking and just follow your heart. Is that what you're doing? Following your heart? Yes. Are you? Absolutely. That night, as they lay in Jordan's bed, Tiana stared at the ceiling thinking about how much her life had changed in just a few months. She had gone from being a struggling single artist to being engaged to a billionaire and expecting his child. It was like something out of a fairy tale, except fairy tales never included morning sickness and prenuptial agreements. Jordan, she whispered in the darkness. Are you sure about this? About all of it? Jordan rolled over and pulled her close, his hand finding its familiar place on her belly. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Even though we're basically strangers? We're not strangers anymore. We're partners. We're a family. I hope your parents will see it that way eventually. They will. And if they don't, then that's their loss. Tiana fell asleep in Jordan's arms, dreaming of their future together. A house with a yard, children playing in the garden, family dinners where everyone was happy and loved. It might have been a dream built on hope rather than certainty, but it was their dream. And sometimes that was enough. The next 3 weeks passed in a whirlwind of wedding preparations, prenuptial agreement negotiations and house hunting. Jordan had insisted they work with the best family lawyer in Seattle for the prenup, and Tiana had been relieved to discover that he was serious about protecting her interests as much as his own. He's being more than fair, Nicole said as she reviewed the documents with Tiana. As a paralegal, Nicole had enough legal knowledge to understand the implications of the agreement. Most wealthy men would never agree to terms this generous. The prenup ensured that Tiana would receive substantial support if the marriage ended, along with a house and trust fund for any children. In return, she waived her rights to Jordan's business assets and family money. It was exactly what she had wanted: protection for herself and their children without being seen as a gold digger. "Are you sure about this?" Jordan asked the night before they were to sign the papers. "You could ask for more. A lot more. I don't want more. I want to know that if our marriage works, it's because we love each other, not because I'm trapped by money. And if it doesn't work? Then I want to know I can leave with my head held high." Jordan pulled her close, his hand resting on her now visible bump. At 20 weeks, Tiana's pregnancy was impossible to hide, and she had finally stopped wearing baggy clothes to disguise it. "It's going to work," he said firmly. "I won't let it fail." "You can't control everything, Jordan. Marriage takes work from both people. Then we'll both work at it." The wedding was planned for Saturday afternoon at the Seattle Center's chapel. It would be small, just 15 people, including Nicole as maid of honor and Jordan's best friend from college as best man. Jordan had extended an invitation to his parents, but they had declined, Victoria claiming a prior engagement and Richard simply not responding. "I'm sorry," Jordan said when he told Tiana about their decision. "I really hoped they would come around. Maybe they need more time. The important thing is that we tried." Despite her disappointment about Jordan's parents, Tiana was excited about the wedding. She had found a simple cream-colored dress that accommodated her growing belly, and Nicole had helped her choose flowers and decorations for the chapel. It wasn't the elaborate wedding she had sometimes fantasized about, but it felt right for them. The night before the wedding, Jordan had stayed at his apartment while Tiana spent the night at Nicole's, following the old tradition about not seeing each other before the ceremony. "Are you nervous?" Nicole asked as they did their nails and watched romantic movies. "Terrified," Tiana admitted. "But in a good way, I think. He really loves you, you know. I can see it in the way he looks at you. I love him too. Sometimes it scares me how much." "Why does it scare you?" "Because it happens so fast. Because we're so different. Because I keep waiting for him to realize he's made a mistake. Tiana, that man would move mountains for you. He's not going to change his mind." "I hope you're right." Saturday morning dawned clear and bright, with the kind of crisp autumn weather that made Seattle feel magical. Tiana woke up at Nicole's apartment feeling nervous but excited. Today she would become Mrs. Jordan Mitchell. Today she would officially become part of Jordan's life. "Ready to become a billionaire's wife?" Nicole asked as she helped Tiana with her hair. "Ready to become Jordan's wife," Tiana corrected. "The money is just details. Important details. Your life is about to change in ways you can't even imagine. It already has changed. The marriage is just making it official." Nicole finished pinning Tiana's hair in an elegant updo and stepped back to admire her work. "You look beautiful. Jordan is going to cry when he sees you." Tiana looked at herself in the mirror and hardly recognized the woman staring back. The cream dress showed off her pregnancy bump while still looking elegant and bridal. Her hair was swept up with small white flowers woven through it, and Nicole had done her makeup to enhance her natural beauty without looking overdone. "I look like I'm actually getting married," she said in wonder. "You are actually getting married. In about 2 hours." At exactly 2 o'clock, Tiana stood at the back of the small chapel, her arm linked through her father's. Her parents had driven up from Portland that morning, still somewhat stunned that their daughter was marrying a man they had only met twice. "You sure about this, sweetheart?" her father asked quietly. "I'm sure, Dad." "He makes you happy?" "Very happy." "Then that's all that matters." The chapel doors opened, and the small group of guests turned to look at her. But Tiana only had eyes for Jordan, who was standing at the altar in a perfectly tailored dark suit, his expression a mixture of love and awe as he watched her walk toward him. When she reached the altar, Jordan took her hands and whispered, "You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." "You clean up pretty well yourself," she whispered back, making him smile. The ceremony was simple and heartfelt. They had written their own vows, and when it came time to recite them, Jordan's voice was steady and sure. "Tiana, 3 months ago I thought I knew what my life would look like. I thought I had everything figured out. Then I met you, and you turned my entire world upside down in the best possible way. You've taught me what it means to love someone completely, to put another person's happiness before your own. You've shown me that the best things in life aren't planned or controlled, they're discovered when you're brave enough to let go. I promise to love you, to support your dreams, to be the partner you deserve, and to be the best father I can be to our children. I promise to choose you every day in good times and bad for the rest of my life." Tiana was crying by the time he finished, and she had to take a moment to compose herself before speaking her own vows. "Jordan, when I met you, I was convinced that love was something that happened slowly, carefully, with lots of planning and consideration. You proved me wrong. You showed me that sometimes love hits you like lightning, fast and bright and impossible to ignore. You've made me braver, stronger, more confident in who I am and what I want. You've supported my dreams while helping me dream bigger. I promise to love you completely, to trust you with my heart, to be your partner in building the life we both want, and to never stop seeing the amazing man you are beneath all the success and responsibility. I promise to choose love over fear, hope over doubt, and you over everything else, every single day." When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Jordan kissed her with such tenderness that Tiana felt like her heart might burst with happiness. As they turned to face their guests, she saw Nicole crying happy tears, her parents beaming with pride, and Jordan's friends clapping enthusiastically. The reception was held at a small restaurant nearby, with dinner and dancing that felt more like an intimate party than a formal wedding celebration. Tiana danced with her father, with Nicole's boyfriend, and finally with Jordan, who held her carefully because of her pregnancy. "How does it feel to be Mrs. Mitchell?" he asked as they swayed to a slow song. "Different than I expected. But good. Really good. Any regrets?" "Only one." "What's that?" "That your parents aren't here to share this with us." Jordan's expression grew sad. "I regret that too. But maybe someday they'll realize what they're missing." "I hope so. I want our children to know their grandparents." "They will. One way or another they will." After the reception, Jordan and Tiana drove to their new house, a beautiful craftsman-style home in the Queen Anne neighborhood that they had purchased together the week before. It had 4 bedrooms, a large kitchen, and a yard with an old oak tree that would be perfect for a swing someday. "Welcome home, Mrs. Mitchell," Jordan said as he carried her across the threshold, making her laugh. "I can't believe this is our house," Tiana said, looking around at the hardwood floors and built-in bookshelves. "It's so beautiful." "It's ours. We picked it out together, we'll decorate it together, we'll raise our family here together." "Our family." The word still sounded surreal to Tiana. "I'm somebody's wife. We're somebody's parents." "Best decision I ever made," Jordan said, pulling her close and kissing her deeply. That night, as they lay in their new bed in their new house, Tiana marveled at how much her life had changed. 6 months ago, she had been a struggling artist living paycheck to paycheck. Now she was married to a man who loved her, expecting their first child, and living in a house she could never have afforded on her own. "Jordan? Do you think we did the right thing? Getting married so quickly? Do you think we did the right thing? I asked you first." Jordan rolled over to face her, his hand finding its usual place on her belly. "I think we followed our hearts instead of our heads, and sometimes that's exactly what you need to do. Even though we barely know each other? We know the important things. We know we love each other, we want the same things, we make each other happy. The rest we can figure out as we go. What if we discover we're incompatible? What if living together changes everything? Then we'll work through it. That's what marriage is, choosing to work through problems instead of running away from them." You make it sound so simple. Maybe it is simple. Maybe we complicate things by overthinking them. Over the next few weeks, they settled into married life with surprising ease. Jordan had been right, they were compatible in ways that mattered. They both liked quiet mornings with coffee and newspapers. They both enjoyed cooking together, though Jordan was much better at it than Tiana. They both preferred staying home to going out, especially now that Tiana was in her 2nd trimester and often tired. "I could get used to this domestic bliss," Jordan said one evening as they worked together to assemble the crib they had bought for the baby's room. Don't speak too soon. Wait until the baby arrives and we're getting 3 hours of sleep a night. I'm looking forward to it. All of it. The sleepless nights, the diaper changes, the first smiles. Even the crying? Even the crying. I want to experience everything with you. Tiana felt a rush of love for her husband. You're going to be an amazing father. I hope so. I want to be everything my father wasn't. Tell me about your childhood. What was it like growing up in that house? Jordan was quiet for a moment as he tightened a screw on the crib. Lonely mostly. My parents were always busy with work or social obligations. I spent most of my time with nannies or tutors. That sounds isolated. It was. I learned early that I couldn't depend on other people for emotional support. That I had to be self-sufficient. Is that why you have trouble trusting people? Probably. When you grow up feeling like you're on your own, it's hard to believe that someone will actually stick around. I'm not going anywhere, Jordan. No matter what happens, I'm committed to making this work. I know. And that terrifies me. Why? Because I've never had anyone in my life who was truly committed to staying. What if I mess this up? What if I hurt you without meaning to? Tiana stopped what she was doing and moved to where Jordan was kneeling by the crib. She cupped his face in her hands, forcing him to look at her. Jordan, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. We're going to hurt each other sometimes, disappoint each other, drive each other crazy. That's normal. What matters is that we choose to keep trying, keep loving each other even when it's hard. How did you get so wise? I had good parents who showed me what real love looks like. It's not perfect, but it's constant. It's choosing each other every day even when you don't feel like it. I want to give that to our children. We will. Together. Jordan kissed her softly, then returned to assembling the crib. I love you, Mrs. Mitchell. I love you too, Mr. Mitchell. The next morning, Tiana woke up to find Jordan already dressed for work, sitting on the edge of the bed with a cup of coffee and his laptop. Good morning, beautiful. How are you feeling? Like I swallowed a basketball. Is it normal to feel this big at 22 weeks? Dr. Martinez says everything is progressing perfectly. The baby is just growing well. Easy for you to say. You're not the one who can't see your feet anymore. Jordan laughed and leaned down to kiss her forehead. I love your growing belly. I love knowing our baby is in there, safe and healthy. I love it too. Most of the time. When I'm not trying to tie my shoes. That's what husbands are for. Speaking of which, I have something to tell you. Something in his tone made Tiana sit up straighter. What is it? My mother called this morning. Tiana's heart sank. What did she want? To congratulate us on our marriage. And to apologize for not attending the wedding. Really? She said she's been thinking about what I said about choosing you and the baby. She wants to meet with us. Both of us. Both of us. She specifically asked to see you again, to apologize for how she treated you at dinner. Tiana wasn't sure how to feel about this development. Part of her was hopeful that Victoria Mitchell was ready to accept their relationship. Another part was wary of another confrontation. What do you think? She asked. I think we should give her a chance. For the baby's sake, if nothing else. When does she want to meet? This weekend. She suggested lunch at the club. The country club? Yes. Neutral territory, she said. Tiana sighed. I suppose we have to try. But Jordan, if she's horrible to me again? She won't be. I made it very clear that I won't tolerate any disrespect toward my wife. Okay. Let's do it. Are you sure? No. But you're right, we have to try. For our child's sake. Jordan kissed her again, longer this time. Thank you. I know this isn't easy for you. Nothing about this situation has been easy. But the hard things are usually worth it. I hope you're right. As Jordan left for work, Tiana lay in bed thinking about the upcoming lunch with Victoria Mitchell. She had hoped they could build their life without interference from Jordan's family, but she was beginning to realize that wasn't realistic. Whether she liked it or not, Victoria would be her child's grandmother. They needed to find a way to coexist, if not for their own sake, then for the sake of their children. She placed a hand on her growing belly, feeling the first flutter of what might have been the baby moving. What do you think, little one? Should we give Grandma another chance? The baby kicked as if in response, making Tiana smile. Maybe this was a sign. Maybe it was time to try again with Jordan's family. After all, they were all going to be connected for the rest of their lives. They might as well try to make it work. That afternoon, Tiana called Nicole to tell her about Victoria's invitation. Are you sure that's a good idea? Nicole asked. She was pretty awful to you at that dinner. I know. But Jordan thinks she's genuinely trying to make amends. And I can't keep my child away from their grandmother forever. You could if she's toxic. But what if she's not? What if she was just shocked and said things she didn't mean? People deserve second chances. Some people do. But some people don't change, Tiana. Be careful. I will be. But I have to try. For Jordan, for the baby, for our family. Just promise me you won't let her walk all over you. I promise. I'm stronger now than I was at that first dinner. I'm Jordan's wife now, not just some woman he's seeing. That has to count for something. I hope you're right. That evening, Jordan came home with flowers and takeout from Tiana's favorite Thai restaurant. What's this for? She asked as he presented her with the bouquet of sunflowers. For being brave enough to give my mother another chance. I know it's not easy. It's worth it if it means our child gets to have a relationship with their grandmother. You're incredible, you know that? Most women would have written my family off after that first dinner. Most women don't love you the way I do. Jordan pulled her into his arms, careful of her growing belly. I'm the luckiest man alive. Yes, you are. But I'm pretty lucky too. As they ate dinner and talked about their day, Tiana felt a deep contentment settle over her. This was what she had always wanted, a partner who loved her, a home filled with warmth and laughter, a family to build together. The lunch with Victoria might be difficult, but she could handle it. She could handle anything as long as she had Jordan by her side. Saturday arrived with gray skies and a light drizzle, typical Seattle weather that matched Tiana's nervous mood. She had changed outfits 3 times before settling on a navy maternity dress that was elegant but not trying too hard. Jordan had assured her repeatedly that she looked perfect, but she still felt like she was preparing for battle rather than lunch. The country club was exactly what Tiana had expected, all mahogany paneling, crystal chandeliers, and the kind of quiet luxury that whispered rather than shouted about wealth. She felt the eyes of other diners following them as the hostess led them to Victoria's table, no doubt curious about Jordan's pregnant wife. Victoria was already seated at a corner table, looking impeccable in a cream-colored suit and pearls. She stood as they approached, her expression carefully neutral. Jordan, Tiana. Thank you for coming. Mother. Jordan's greeting was polite but guarded as he helped Tiana into her chair. You look lovely, Tiana. Pregnancy suits you. Thank you. Tiana wasn't sure how to respond to the compliment, given their last interaction. An awkward silence settled over the table as they studied their menus. Finally, Victoria set hers down and looked directly at Tiana. I owe you an apology. My behavior at dinner was inexcusable. Tiana blinked in surprise. She had expected many things from this lunch, but a direct apology wasn't one of them. I was shocked by your news, Victoria continued, and I reacted poorly. I said things that were hurtful and unfair. You were protecting your son, Tiana said carefully. I understand that. No, you don't understand. I was protecting my image of what Jordan's life should look like. I had very specific expectations about who he would marry and how it would happen. You didn't fit those expectations and I lashed out instead of trying to understand who you really are. Jordan leaned forward in his chair. What changed your mind? Victoria's expression grew soft, almost vulnerable. I had lunch with my sister Caroline last week. She reminded me of something I had forgotten, that the best things in life rarely happen according to plan. She also pointed out that I was about to lose my son and grandchild because I was too proud to admit I was wrong. We don't want to lose you, Tiana said quietly. We want our child to know their grandmother. Do you? Even after how I treated you. Everyone deserves a second chance. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm hoping you'll give it to me anyway. Of course I forgive you. We're family now. Yes, we are. Victoria reached across the table and squeezed Tiana's hand. And I want to be the kind of grandmother this baby deserves. The kind of mother-in-law you deserve. The conversation grew easier after that. Victoria asked about the pregnancy, about their new house, about Tiana's art. She seemed genuinely interested in getting to know her daughter-in-law, asking thoughtful questions and listening carefully to the answers. I'd love to see your paintings sometime, Victoria said as they waited for dessert. Jordan tells me you're very talented. He's biased, Tiana said with a smile. Perhaps. But I'd still like to see your work. I serve on the board of several galleries in the city. I might be able to help you get some exposure. That's very kind of you, but I don't want special treatment just because I'm married to Jordan. It wouldn't be special treatment. It would be recognizing talent. There's a difference. After lunch, Victoria walked them to their car, seeming reluctant for the visit to end. I know I have a lot of work to do to rebuild your trust, she said to Tiana. But I hope you'll give me the chance to try. I will. We both will. Good. And Tiana? I want you to know that I see why Jordan fell in love with you. You're exactly what he needs, someone real, someone who sees him for who he is rather than what he has. Thank you. That means a lot. Victoria hugged them both goodbye, and as they drove away, Tiana felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. That went better than I expected, she said. Much better. I've never seen my mother be so human. Maybe becoming a grandmother is changing her. Maybe. Or maybe you're changing all of us. The next few weeks passed peacefully. Victoria called regularly to check on Tiana and invited them to dinner several times. She was trying hard to build a relationship with her daughter-in-law, and Tiana appreciated the effort. Richard had warmed up too, though he remained more reserved than his wife. At 26 weeks pregnant, Tiana was definitely showing and feeling the effects of carrying a baby. She was tired more often, her back ached constantly, and she had developed heartburn that kept her up at night. Jordan was incredibly attentive, massaging her shoulders, propping pillows behind her back, and running to the store at midnight for antacids. You don't have to wait on me hand and foot, she told him one evening as he brought her ice cream to help with the heartburn. I want to. Besides, you're growing our baby. It's the least I can do. What if I get used to this level of pampering and demand it even after the baby is born? Then I'll happily pamper you for the rest of our lives. They had a routine doctor's appointment the next day with Dr. Martinez. These visits had become something they both looked forward to, a chance to hear the baby's heartbeat and see how their child was developing. Everything looks great, Dr. Martinez said as she moved the ultrasound wand over Tiana's belly. The baby is measuring perfectly, all the organs are developing normally, and the heartbeat is strong. Can you tell what we're having? Jordan asked, squeezing Tiana's hand. Do you want to know? Tiana and Jordan looked at each other. They had discussed this many times and never quite reached a decision. What do you think? Tiana asked. I'm curious, but I also like the idea of being surprised. Let's wait, Tiana decided. Some surprises are worth waiting for. Dr. Martinez smiled. Many couples feel that way. The baby will be here before you know it. As they were getting ready to leave, Dr. Martinez pulled Jordan aside. I wanted to follow up on those fertility tests we discussed. Have you had a chance to speak with Dr. Harrison about your previous diagnosis? Not yet. I've been meaning to call him. I think you should. The results from your recent tests are so dramatically different from what you described that I'm concerned there may have been an error in the original testing. What kind of error? Lab errors, misinterpretation of results, even mix-ups with other patients. It's rare, but it happens. You really think I was never infertile? Based on your current test results, I'd say it's highly unlikely that you were ever infertile. Your sperm count and motility are excellent, well above average. Jordan was quiet on the drive home, processing what Dr. Martinez had said. Are you okay? Tiana asked. I don't know. If Dr. Martinez is right, if I was never actually infertile, then I've spent 5 years believing something that wasn't true. Does it matter now? We're having a baby, we're happy. What difference does it make? It matters because I made life decisions based on that diagnosis. I convinced myself I'd never be a father, never have a family. I used it as an excuse to avoid serious relationships. Including with me at first. Yes. I kept waiting for you to disappear because I thought this pregnancy was impossible. But you don't think that anymore. No. But I need to know the truth. I need to understand what really happened. The next day, Jordan called Dr. Harrison's office and made an appointment. Dr. Harrison had been the Mitchell family physician for 20 years and had delivered the devastating fertility diagnosis that had shaped Jordan's entire adult life. I'm nervous, Jordan admitted as they sat in the waiting room. What if he tells me the original diagnosis was correct and Dr. Martinez is wrong? Then we'll deal with it. But Jordan, I'm pregnant with your baby. That's proof enough that you're not infertile. Unless what? Unless the baby isn't mine. Tiana stared at him in shock. Are you serious right now? I'm sorry. I know you wouldn't lie to me. It's just, my brain keeps trying to make sense of this. Jordan, you are the only man I've been with in over a year. This baby is yours. I know. I'm sorry. I'm just confused about everything right now. Dr. Harrison was an older man with kind eyes and a gentle manner. He had obviously heard about Jordan's marriage and pregnancy because he congratulated them both before getting down to business. I understand you have some questions about your fertility testing from 5 years ago, he said, pulling out a thick file. Dr. Martinez seems to think there may have been an error. My current test results show no fertility issues at all. Dr. Harrison frowned as he reviewed the file. That's unusual. Let me look at this more carefully. He was quiet for several minutes, studying test results and lab reports. Finally, he set the file down and looked at Jordan with a puzzled expression. I'm afraid I have some disturbing news. It appears there was indeed an error in your original diagnosis. What kind of error? A significant one. The lab results in your file don't match your patient information. It looks like you received someone else's test results. Jordan went very still. What are you saying? I'm saying that the fertility issues we discussed 5 years ago weren't yours. Somehow your results got mixed up with another patient's. You were never infertile. The silence in the room was deafening. Tiana reached for Jordan's hand, but he was staring at Dr. Harrison like he hadn't heard correctly. Are you telling me that I've spent 5 years believing I couldn't have children because of a lab mix-up? I'm afraid so. I don't know how this happened, but I take full responsibility. This is an inexcusable error. 5 years? Jordan said quietly. 5 years of thinking I'd never be a father. 5 years of avoiding relationships because I thought I had nothing to offer. Jordan, I am so sorry. If there's anything I can do to make this right. You can't make it right. Jordan's voice was sharp with anger. You can't give me back 5 years of my life. You can't undo the relationships I avoided, the chances I didn't take. I understand you're angry. Angry? I'm furious. Do you have any idea what this cost me? What it cost my family? Tiana squeezed his hand, trying to calm him. Jordan, let's go home. We can process this together. No, I want answers. I want to know exactly how this happened and what you're going to do about it. Dr. Harrison looked genuinely distressed. I will launch a full investigation into how this error occurred. I will also be reporting this to the medical board. This kind of mistake is unacceptable. Damn right it's unacceptable. Jordan, Tiana said firmly. We need to leave. Now. Something in her tone got through to him. He stood up abruptly, his face flushed with anger. We're done here. Don't contact me again unless it's through my lawyer. They left the office in tense silence. Jordan was practically vibrating with rage, his hands clenched into fists as they walked to the car. Jordan, you need to calm down, Tiana said as they got in the car. This level of stress isn't good for you or the baby. How am I supposed to calm down? My entire adult life has been based on a lie. I know you're angry and you have every right to be. But getting this upset isn't going to change anything. It changes everything, Tiana. Don't you see? If I had known I could have children, I would have lived my life completely differently. How differently? I would have gotten married years ago. I would have started a family. I would have. You would have what? Married some society woman your mother picked out? Had children with someone you didn't love? Jordan was quiet for a moment. Maybe. And where would that leave us? Where would that leave our baby? I don't know. I do. We wouldn't exist. This baby wouldn't exist. You would be trapped in a loveless marriage, going through the motions of a life that wasn't really yours. Or I might have been happy. You might have been. But you also might have been miserable. You'll never know, and torturing yourself with what-ifs isn't going to help anyone. Jordan pulled over to the side of the road and put his head in his hands. I just feel like I've wasted so much time. You haven't wasted anything. Every experience you've had, every decision you've made, led you to me. Led you to this moment, this family, this life we're building together. What if I'm not ready for this? What if I don't know how to be the husband and father you both deserve? Then we'll figure it out together. That's what marriage is, figuring things out together. Jordan looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of love and fear. I'm scared, Tiana. I'm scared I'm going to mess this up. I'm scared too. But we're going to be okay. We love each other, we want this baby, and we're committed to making this work. That's enough. Is it? It has to be. Because it's all we have and it's all we need. Jordan reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. I love you so much it scares me. I love you too. Angry, scared, confused, all of you. Even when I'm being irrational about medical mix-ups? Especially then. Because it shows me how much this family means to you. Jordan leaned over and kissed her gently. What did I do to deserve you? You followed your heart instead of your head. You took a chance on love. Best decision I ever made. Mine too. As they drove home, Tiana thought about the strange turns their relationship had taken. A one-night stand had led to pregnancy, which had led to marriage, which had led to this revelation about Jordan's fertility. It was like a complicated puzzle where all the pieces had to fall into place in exactly the right order. Maybe that's what love was, a series of seemingly random events that somehow created something beautiful and lasting. Maybe the medical mix-up hadn't been a tragedy but a necessary part of their story. Without it, Jordan might never have been free to fall in love with her, might never have been available when she walked into his life. Jordan? Yeah. I'm glad Dr. Harrison made that mistake. What? Why? Because if he hadn't, you might not have been single when I met you. You might have been married to someone else, living a different life. I never thought of it that way. Everything that happened, the misdiagnosis, our night together, the pregnancy, it all had to happen exactly the way it did for us to end up here. Maybe that's not a coincidence. Maybe that's fate. You think we were meant to be together? I think we're together now, and that's all that matters. Jordan smiled for the first time since leaving Dr. Harrison's office. I love your optimism. Someone has to balance out your tendency to overthink everything. True. What would I do without you? You'll never have to find out. 3 months later, Tiana woke up at 3 a.m. with what felt like the world's worst backache. She had been having false alarms for weeks now, Braxton Hicks contractions that sent them rushing to the hospital only to be sent home again. At 37 weeks pregnant, she was officially full term, but the baby seemed perfectly content to stay put. Jordan, she whispered, shaking her husband's shoulder. I think this might be it. Jordan was instantly awake, alert in the way he had become whenever she mentioned any kind of discomfort. Are you sure? What does it feel like? Different from the practice contractions. More intense. And they're coming regularly. Jordan sat up and turned on the bedside lamp, checking his watch. How far apart? About 8 minutes. Okay. Let's time a few more and see if they get closer together. They had been through this routine several times over the past month, but something about this time felt different. The contractions were stronger, more purposeful, and Tiana could feel her body preparing for the work ahead. Should we call Dr. Martinez? Jordan asked after they had timed 5 contractions. Not yet. She said to wait until they're 5 minutes apart or my water breaks. Are you in pain? Do you need anything? I'm okay for now. Just nervous. Jordan pulled her close, his hand resting on her enormous belly. Today we get to meet our baby. Are you ready? No. Are you? Not even close. But I don't think anyone's ever really ready to become a parent. They spent the next few hours timing contractions and trying to rest between them. Jordan made Tiana breakfast even though she could barely eat anything, and packed their hospital bag for the 3rd time, checking and rechecking that they had everything they needed. Jordan, you need to calm down, Tiana said as he reorganized the bag yet again. You're making me more nervous. Sorry? I just want everything to be perfect. Nothing about childbirth is perfect. It's messy and unpredictable and terrifying. But we'll get through it together. By 8 a.m., the contractions were 5 minutes apart and strong enough that Tiana had to stop talking during each one. Jordan called Dr. Martinez, who told them to come into the hospital. This is it, Jordan said as he helped Tiana into the car. The next time we come home, we'll have our baby with us. Assuming everything goes okay. Everything will go okay. You're strong and healthy, the baby is healthy. We're going to be fine. The drive to the hospital felt surreal. Seattle was waking up around them, people heading to work, kids waiting for school buses, the city beginning another ordinary day. But for Tiana and Jordan, this was the most extraordinary day of their lives. At the hospital, they were quickly settled into a labor and delivery room. Dr. Martinez examined Tiana and confirmed that she was in active labor, dilated to 4 centimeters. It's still going to be a while, she told them. First babies tend to take their time. Try to rest between contractions and let Jordan help you through the difficult ones. How long is a while? Jordan asked. Could be 6 hours, could be 16. Every labor is different. Over the next several hours, Jordan proved to be exactly the birth partner Tiana needed. He massaged her back during contractions, fed her ice chips, and helped her walk the halls when movement felt good. He never left her side, even when she yelled at him during a particularly difficult contraction. I'm sorry, she gasped afterward. I didn't mean to snap at you. You're allowed to yell at me. You're doing all the hard work. We're doing this together. No, sweetheart. You're doing this. I'm just trying to keep up. Victoria and Richard arrived in the early afternoon, bringing flowers and nervous energy. How is she doing? Victoria asked Jordan in the hallway. She's incredible. Stronger than I ever imagined. And you? How are you holding up? I'm terrified and excited and amazed all at the same time. That sounds about right for becoming a father. Richard clapped his son on the shoulder. She's lucky to have you. You both are. I'm the lucky one. By evening, Tiana was exhausted but determined. The contractions were coming fast and hard now, and she could feel the baby moving down, preparing to make its entrance into the world. "I can see the head," Dr. Martinez announced during a contraction. "Just a few more pushes and you'll meet your baby." "I can't," Tiana gasped. "I'm too tired." "Yes, you can," Jordan said firmly, squeezing her hand. "You're the strongest person I know. You can do anything." "Easy for you to say. You're not the one pushing a watermelon through a drinking straw." "True. But I believe in you. I've always believed in you." With one final, tremendous effort, Tiana pushed their baby into the world. The room filled with the sound of crying healthy, strong cries that announced the arrival of their child. "It's a girl?" Dr. Martinez announced, holding up a squirming pink baby covered in vernix and blood. "You have a daughter." Tiana collapsed back against the pillows, exhausted but elated. "A girl. We have a daughter." "She's perfect," Jordan whispered, tears streaming down his face. "Look at her, Tiana. She's absolutely perfect." Dr. Martinez placed the baby on Tiana's chest, and everything else in the world disappeared. Their daughter stopped crying the moment she felt her mother's skin, opening dark eyes that looked remarkably like Jordan's. "Hello, baby girl," Tiana whispered. "We've been waiting so long to meet you. What are we going to call her?" Jordan asked, gently stroking the baby's tiny hand. They had discussed names for months but never quite settled on one. Looking at their daughter now, with her dark hair and serious expression, only one name felt right. "Hope," Tiana said. "Her name is Hope." "Hope Mitchell," Jordan repeated. "It's perfect." "Hope Elizabeth Mitchell," Tiana corrected, adding her grandmother's name. "Hope Elizabeth. I love it. Hello, Hope Elizabeth. I'm your daddy." The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Hope was weighed and measured 7 pounds 2 ounces 20 inches long, perfectly healthy. Victoria and Richard met their granddaughter with tears and overwhelmed expressions. Nicole arrived with balloons and declared herself the best honorary aunt in the world. But the moment Tiana treasured most was late that night, when it was just the three of them in the quiet hospital room. Jordan was sitting in the rocking chair, holding Hope while she slept, and Tiana was watching them from her bed. "She's so tiny," Jordan marveled. "How can something so small be so perfect?" "She's not going to stay tiny for long. Enjoy it while you can." "I plan to enjoy every minute of this. Every sleepless night, every diaper change, every milestone. Even when she's 16 and hates us? Especially then. Though I may need you to remind me of that when the time comes." Tiana smiled, feeling a contentment she had never experienced before. This was what happiness looked like, not the big dramatic moments but the quiet ones. The ordinary moments that were actually extraordinary because of who you shared them with. "Jordan?" "Yeah. Thank you." "For what?" "For taking a chance on us. For choosing love over fear. For being exactly the partner and father I hoped you'd be. Thank you for seeing something in me worth loving. For giving me the family I never knew I wanted. We're pretty good at this, aren't we? This family thing. We're learning. But yeah, I think we are." Hope stirred in Jordan's arms, making the soft baby sounds that would soon become familiar to them. Jordan stood up and brought her to Tiana, settling the baby in her arms before climbing carefully into the narrow hospital bed beside them. "This is nice," Tiana said, leaning against Jordan's shoulder while their daughter slept peacefully between them. "This is everything," Jordan corrected. "This is our whole world right here in this bed." "Are you scared about taking her home tomorrow?" "Terrified." "Are you?" "Yes. But also excited. I can't wait to show her our house, her room, the life we've built for her. She's going to be so loved. By us, by your parents, by mine. Even Nicole has already started buying her spoiled rotten." "Speaking of your parents, did you see your mother's face when she held Hope for the first time?" Jordan smiled at the memory. "I thought she was going to cry. I've never seen her look so soft. She's going to be a wonderful grandmother." "She already is. Did you hear her asking the nurse about the best baby care books? She's already planning Hope's education. At least she's not suggesting boarding school at age 3. Give her time. Though honestly, I think having a granddaughter is going to change her. She's already talking about teaching Hope to paint." "Really?" "She said every Mitchell woman should have artistic accomplishments. I think you've influenced her more than you know." Tiana looked down at Hope's sleeping face, marveling at the tiny features that were already distinctly her own. "I can't believe we made this perfect little person. I can't believe we almost didn't happen. If you hadn't been brave enough to come to my office that day. If you hadn't been brave enough to see me. If we hadn't been brave enough to take a chance on each other. A lot of things had to go right for us to end up here. Or maybe we were always meant to find each other. Maybe everything that happened before was just leading us to this moment. Jordan kissed the top of Tiana's head. I used to think love was something that happened to other people. Something I was too busy or too damaged or too careful to experience. And now I know that love isn't something that happens to you. It's something you choose every day, even when it's scary or difficult or inconvenient. Is that what you're doing? Choosing love. Every single day. I choose you, I choose hope, I choose this messy, beautiful, complicated life we're building together. Good. Because we choose you too. They sat in comfortable silence, watching their daughter sleep and listening to the sounds of the hospital around them. In a few hours they would take Hope home and begin the real adventure of parenthood. There would be sleepless nights and difficult days, questions they couldn't answer and challenges they couldn't anticipate. But right now, in this moment, everything was perfect. They had each other, they had their healthy baby girl, and they had a future full of possibilities stretching out ahead of them. Jordan? I love you. All of you. Your ambition, your gentleness, your terrible jokes, your way of making me feel like I can do anything. I love you too. Your strength, your optimism, your talent, your way of seeing beauty in everything, even me. Especially you. We did good, didn't we? With Hope, with us, with this whole crazy situation. We did great. And we're just getting started. Outside their window, Seattle was settling into the quiet hours of early morning. Soon the sun would rise on their first day as a family of 3. Soon they would go home and begin the next chapter of their story. But for now, they were content to sit together in the peaceful hospital room, holding their daughter and each other, marveling at how a one-night stand had become a lifetime of love. 6 months later, Tiana stood in front of her easel in the converted sunroom that had become her studio, putting the finishing touches on her latest painting. Hope was sleeping peacefully in her bouncy seat nearby, and Jordan was in his office taking a conference call with his team in Tokyo. The painting was part of a new series called New Beginnings, Cityscapes and Portraits that captured moments of transformation and hope. Her work had evolved since becoming a mother, becoming more optimistic and vibrant than her earlier pieces. Victoria had been true to her word about helping Tiana get gallery exposure, and her first solo show was scheduled for next month. How's it going in here? Jordan asked, appearing in the doorway with 2 cups of coffee. Good. I think this one is finished. Tiana stepped back to assess her work. What do you think? Jordan set down the coffee cups and studied the painting. It showed a woman holding a baby silhouetted against a window, with the city of Seattle spread out below them in soft, golden light. It's beautiful. Is that supposed to be you and Hope? Maybe. Or maybe it's just the feeling of holding your future in your arms. I love it. The gallery show is going to be incredible. I hope so. I'm nervous about putting my work out there. You shouldn't be. You're incredibly talented and people are going to see that. Jordan wrapped his arms around her from behind, and they stood together watching Hope sleep. At 6 months old, she was a happy, curious baby with Jordan's dark eyes and Tiana's smile. She had already started showing signs of her parents' artistic and intellectual tendencies, studying everything around her with intense concentration. I got an interesting call today, Jordan said. From a reporter at Forbes. They want to do a feature story about us. About us? Why? Apparently we're an inspiring story. Successful businessman finds love and family in unexpected places. They want to focus on how becoming a father changed my perspective on work-life balance. Are you going to do it? Only if you're comfortable with it. It would mean more public attention, more scrutiny of our relationship. Tiana considered this. A year ago, the thought of being in a magazine would have terrified her. But now, with Jordan's love and support, she felt ready to handle whatever came their way. I think it could be good for us. Show people that not all billionaire love stories are fairy tales. Some of them are real. Is that what we are? A love story? We're the best kind of love story. The kind where 2 people choose each other every day, even when it's not easy. Especially when it's not easy. Hope started to fuss, signaling that it was time for her afternoon feeding. Tiana scooped her up, marveling as always at how perfectly her daughter fit in her arms. I should feed her and then get her ready for our walk. Nicole is meeting us at the park. I'll come with you. The Tokyo call can wait. Are you sure? I thought it was important. It is important. But not as important as spending time with my girls. As they prepared for their walk, Tiana reflected on how much their lives had changed. Jordan had indeed found a better work-life balance, delegating more responsibilities and making family time a priority. He was an involved, devoted father who changed diapers without complaint and could soothe Hope to sleep with a combination of gentle humming and rhythmic swaying. Tiana had found her own balance too, dividing her time between motherhood and her art in a way that fed both parts of her soul. Some days were harder than others, but she had never been happier or felt more fulfilled. "Ready to go show Hope off to the world?" Jordan asked, settling Hope into her stroller. "Always. She's pretty much the most perfect baby ever created. We might be slightly biased. Definitely biased. But also completely correct." As they walked through their neighborhood toward the park, Tiana thought about the letter she had written to Jordan almost a year ago, asking for a meeting to discuss something important. She could never have imagined then that this was where that awkward conversation would lead to marriage, parenthood, and a love deeper than anything she had ever dreamed possible. "Jordan? Yeah. Do you ever think about that night we met? About how different our lives would be if we hadn't found each other?" "Sometimes. But not with regret. I think we found each other exactly when we were supposed to. Even though it was messy and complicated and completely unplanned? Especially because it was messy and complicated and completely unplanned. The best things in life usually are." At the park, they met Nicole and her new boyfriend, along with several other couples with babies. It was an informal gathering of new parents, sharing stories and advice while their children played or slept. "You two look disgustingly happy," Nicole observed as they spread out a blanket in the shade. "We are disgustingly happy," Tiana agreed. "Sorry, not sorry. Don't apologize. It's wonderful to see. Though I have to admit, when you first told me you were pregnant by a guy you barely knew, I thought it was going to be a disaster." "So did I," Jordan said. "Best disaster of my life." "It wasn't a disaster," Tiana protested. "It was an adventure. An adventure that turned into a love story," Nicole said. "Which, by the way, is giving me unrealistic expectations for my own love life." "Just be open to possibilities," Tiana advised. "Love has a way of showing up when you least expect it. And when you're brave enough to take a chance on it," Jordan added, reaching for Tiana's hand. As the afternoon wore on, Tiana watched Jordan playing with Hope, making silly faces that sent their daughter into fits of delighted giggles. He was natural with children in a way that surprised everyone who knew him professionally. The serious, intense businessman transformed into a playful, gentle father the moment he held his daughter. "He's really wonderful with her," Nicole observed. "He's wonderful with both of us. I never expected to feel so supported, so cherished. You deserve it. You both do." "I know. It just took me a while to believe it." As the sun began to set, they packed up their things and headed home. Hope had fallen asleep in her stroller, exhausted from all the stimulation of her first park adventure. "Good day?" Jordan asked as they put Hope down for the night. "Perfect day. Though I have to say, I'm looking forward to some alone time with my husband." "Oh really? What did you have in mind?" "Maybe some of that wine we've been saving. Some quiet conversation. Maybe some other activities that don't involve diaper changes or baby talk." "I like the sound of that." Later that evening, they sat on their back porch, sharing a bottle of wine and watching the stars appear over Seattle. The baby monitor crackled softly beside them, broadcasting the peaceful sounds of Hope's sleep. "I have something to tell you," Jordan said, setting down his wine glass. "That sounds ominous. Should I be worried?" "No, it's good news. Great news, actually." "What is it?" "I've been thinking about what you said earlier about our story being inspiring. About showing people that real love stories aren't always fairy tales. And I think you're right. I think what we have is special and maybe we should share it." "Share it how?" Jordan pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, and Tiana's heart stopped. "Jordan, we're already married." "I know. But I want to ask you again properly this time. Not because you're pregnant or because it's practical, but because I love you more than I ever thought possible and I want to spend the rest of my life proving it to you." He opened the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring, simple but elegant, exactly what Tiana would have chosen for herself. "Tiana Mitchell, will you marry me?" "Again? Will you choose me every day for the rest of our lives in good times and bad, through sleepless nights and terrible twos and teenage tantrums and everything else life throws at us?" Tiana was crying now, overwhelmed by the gesture and by the love in Jordan's eyes. Yes, I'll marry you again. I'll choose you every day for the rest of my life." Jordan slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her close for a kiss that tasted like wine and promises and forever. "When?" she asked when they broke apart. "Whenever you want. Our anniversary?" Next spring when Hope is old enough to be our flower girl? Tomorrow? Our anniversary sounds perfect. 1 year of marriage, a lifetime to go. I love you, Mrs. Mitchell. I love you too, Mr. Mitchell. As they sat together on their porch, planning their second wedding and dreaming about their future, Tiana marveled at the journey that had brought them here. From a one-night stand to a lifetime commitment, from strangers to soulmates, from an unexpected pregnancy to a planned and cherished family. It hadn't been easy and it hadn't been conventional, but it had been theirs. And sometimes, that was the most beautiful love story of all. Inside the house, Hope stirred in her sleep, as if sensing her parents' happiness and feeling secure in the love that surrounded her. She was the product of an unplanned moment that had become a planned life, a bridge between two hearts that had found their way to each other against all odds. And in the morning they would wake up together as a family, ready to face whatever adventures lay ahead, secure in the knowledge that love real, deep, choosing each other every day love was enough to overcome anything.